What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Thursday. Had to double check there with this week going on. What up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. However, you're tuning in, whether it's on the good old radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. You got the Sports Talk app, your smart devices or smart speakers. Video streams also up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Gotta throw in Instagram over there. But big thanks for making us a part of your start on this. This is gonna be a fun Thursday. Gonna be a really fun Thursday here this morning. So we got a bunch of things lined up. First off, our good buddy Brandon Berg's actually going to be joining us today instead of tomorrow because of state track and field. So Brandon will be on starting off in the 7 o'clock hour. We'll do a little local sports recap with him with everything going on baseball wise, track and field, soccer, golf, everything going on over there. And then this is gonna be a lot of fun. So I don't know if a lot of you follow on Facebook. We've actually mentioned him a couple times here when we have Jake Bolks on, and Jake Bolks, of course, our Wisconsin DNR warden buddy, who will be up on 8:30 this morning. So if you have your questions, send those on over so we can get those to Jake. But before Jake, shortly after 8 o'clock this morning, Ed the Diver. Ed the Diver. If you haven't followed his Facebook pages or social media pages or don't know a whole lot about him, he's actually in Eau Claire. He's been in Eau Claire the last couple of days here. Maybe you saw some of the news articles out there and such, but he's going to be in studio. He's going to join us here for a little bit, just past 8 o'clock. He's the dude that goes underwater, goes scuba diving and picks up, trash or tries to find some stuff out there, fishing lures and that. And it's some awesome stuff, some awesome videos. He's doing a Midwest tour right now, but he's been in Eau Claire the last couple days, and I believe today's his last day, but he's going to make a quick stop in studio this morning and chat with us. So it'll be good. That's going to be a fun conversation. He's all over Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. I think he's got 50,000 followers, over 50,000 followers on Facebook and that. So he's going to be up shortly past 8 o'clock. That should be a fun conversation as well. So we got those guests lined up. Intern's going to be with us for the first hour here this morning. We're going to talk some Brewers with the crew picking up a 10-6 victory. What we all kind of thought, we should know better at this point in time, but what we all kind of thought was going to be a pitching duel last night, and it was far from it, with the Brewers picking up a 10-6 victory. 10-6 victory last night to at least secure a series split in this 4-game series with the Cubs. Now the Brewers, though, are in a position to win this series, to win this 4-game series. That would be huge if they can get that job done tonight and take 3 out of 4 against the team that's in second place in the division right now and create a little bit more of a gap there. But don't look now. Cardinals are back up to 500. They're 27-27. Cubbies are 28-28. So Brewers still at top, up 4.5 on both of those teams. Colin Ray's going to get the start this afternoon for the Brewers. 12:10 first pitch. All right, got an afternoon game today. 12:10. It was the Blake Perkins show last night. What didn't this guy do? If you weren't listening or maybe watching or such, dude hits a home run, 2-run home run, but then he's showing off his glove work back there, robbing a home run, making a diving catch on the warning track. You're going backwards. It was the Blake Perkins show last night. Manning center field out there. Yelly got a home run early on. Willie Adames picking up a home run. So, the Brewers bats coming alive and going up against Imanaga, who was the ERA leader, 5-0. Probably could have been easily 8-0, but he went 4 1/3, giving up 7 earned runs and only striking out 1 and a couple home runs he gave up too. So Brewers offense being aggressive early, something we kind of talked about a little bit. Would they do that? And they did it, and they were able to put up a nice little number on that scoreboard last night. So we'll talk some Brewers throughout the morning here, and then preview this afternoon's game, and hopefully maybe a series win, taking 3 out of the 4 against the Cubbies. Heck yeah, baby! We'll talk a little grit of gold. We had OTA practices yesterday, so we had some OTA practices yesterday. Not really gonna, dive into practice and such, but some interesting quotes from Jair Alexander, who chatted a little bit with the media. Eric Stokes, we got some comments from him too, specifically talking about this defense. And Eric Stokes talking about, we heard last week about Christian Watts. Was it last week, week before? Him going to Madison and trying to figure out his soft tissue injuries. And Eric Stokes talked a little bit about that too. And it sounds like his foot wasn't strong enough. I hope we get Dr. Crow on tomorrow to kind of really talk about this stuff here too. But he sounds like his foot wasn't strong enough. Remember, he was dealing with that major foot injury. So this all off season, he's been kind of working on his strength there. And he said he feels even faster at this point, which the dude was already fast. But Stokes also saying about his new defensive coordinator, this is according to Matt Schneidman, I love Hafley. He just wants you to go out there and have fun and just play 110 miles per hour. And that's what I love about Hafley. He always says, I'm going to go ahead and take the bullet. You just go out there and just have fun, and you just play. Jair, chatting a little bit there too. He had a couple things to say. He said defense and strength staff changes, quote, definitely have improved his happiness and connectedness to the team. When asked on the prior staff in that regard, talking about, the connectedness and that, he said, I wouldn't say it was missing, but it wasn't as easy as it is with this new staff. They have been great. So he even talked a little bit about, spending a lot of time in Green Bay this offseason and seeing LaFleur and Goody quite a bit and such. So you got a couple defensive players, couple more defensive players who are stoked about this new defensive staff and the vibe is pretty darn good right now. It seems like in Green Bay, at least in the month of May at this point in time. So we'll throw a little green and gold chats in here throughout the morning. What else do we got on Thursday? We might throw a little receiver defer in here. I know we got a little bit of a change up here. I mean, we just got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of people joining us. We got a lot going on here. So again, don't forget Jake Bolks will be joining us at 8:30, our DNR Warden buddy. So if you got any questions, send those on over via the texting line, that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. We got free fishing weekend coming up. So if you haven't gotten your fishing licenses yet, well, you can go for free this weekend. Also state passes and that those fees are state park passes are waived in that too. So we'll hit up Jake with that. So plenty to get to here this morning. All right, join in on the convo. Hit us up with the text. Go on the video stream. Dustin's over there saying good morning. What up, Dustin? Good morning to you too. But join in on the convo. Let's talk some Brewers with that win last night. Looking ahead to tonight's, we'll throw a little green and gold chat in there. Timberwolves fans probably really paying attention to tonight's Game 5 between the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. Can the T-Wolves pick up another win? And if they win tonight, that series gets pretty darn interesting now, I think. Pretty darn interesting. But one game at a time for the Timberwolves. They can't afford to look too far ahead at this point in time, too. So, also, Express picked up a road victory last night, too. 4-3 against Rochester. They return home tonight. So, all right, let's get things rolling. We'll take that first break, and then coming up on the leadoff, let's open it up. Talking a little baseball here, specifically a little Brewers chat. Big night for the offense last night. Big night for Blake Perkins. Man, oh man. Career night for him. Let's hit it all up. Coming up after these quick words. Tomorrow night's the night, Sports Talk night at the Eau Claire Express game. Stop on by, grab your tickets. Little man will be throwing out the first pitch tomorrow night too. But get your tickets and hang out with us for Sports Talk night, the third home game already for the Eau Claire Express, because second one is tonight against Rochester. But tomorrow will be a new team too that a lot of us, probably all of us, haven't seen unless you are, Northwoods League diehard, have seen these before. But the Badlands Big Sticks are coming to town, so you get your chance to see them tomorrow night. And also, don't forget, Friday night is Food Truck Friday for the Express games too. So perfect nights with Sports Talk night tomorrow night. We're going to have the mobile man cave there. We're going to tailgate beforehand. Big thanks to Toyson Ford, Woods and Water Realty, Carpet City Flooring Center in the Elbow Room, sponsoring the mobile man cave. But Hutsy and I, we spent Memorial Day weekend decorating that thing on the insides, and we're ready to reveal it tomorrow night over at the Express game. So we got intern over there. You going to be there tomorrow night? You got stuff going on? I know you're busy with June Dairy Breakfast coming up.
June Dairy Breakfast, and I'm actually leaving Saturday morning, heading to Montana.
That's right. Yep.
For my ranching. A little bit nervous. I was just reading, and this is not a funny story, but I was just reading a guy out in Colorado. A rancher was out in the field sorting cattle, branding calves, this and anything, got hit by lightning, and he got killed. Then about 50 of his cattle. So big open sky out there, but we'll be doing that. But no, it should be great for down there.
Yep.
June Dairy Breakfast. We got them all kinds of going on. Marshfield on Friday, Athens and Barron County, and all over Cadott. They've got their breakfast on Saturday morning. So again, get out and enjoy dairy. Everybody thinks, well, I'm not a farmer. You eat, don't you?
Yeah.
Go out and enjoy these dairy breakfasts. Talk to somebody you've never seen before, never met before. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
I know I talked to a lot of people the first time they ever go. They say, that was so much fun. I talked to so many people, that come in for breakfast and leave. No, you stop and look around the farm if it's on a farm or whatever. But you are invited. If you hear about a dairy breakfast, you are invited. Jump River will have one on Saturday as well. So lots of things going on.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely hit them up. Hey, speaking of which, I'll tell you this, 8 o'clock this morning, you'll find this kind of interesting. So we've actually mentioned this guy with Jake and some of our outdoor tidbits, but he's actually in Eau Claire. He's been in Eau Claire the last couple of days. You might have saw him on the news, Ed the Diver.
Yeah, I saw that article. Yeah,
he's gonna be in studio at 8 o'clock.
Oh man!
So and he grew up on a farm too. So he's but
Brandon will be here for the last couple hours this morning because he's busy, and I'm looking forward to hearing him about all the high school baseball and track and field and all the other stuff going on. Because he, with the situation we have in with the newspaper nowadays, it's not as inclusive as it used to be, and so Brandon is really the town crier when it comes to all this.
Yes, exactly. So he's heading over to State Track and Field tomorrow, which is a long all-day event over there in La Crosse, but I know it's one of his favorite ones there too. So
I used to enjoy going to that years ago. They had it when I was in school. They had the state track meet down at Monona Grove in Madison, and then they moved it to I think they moved it to Madison Memorial, and now they moved it to La Crosse. I can't believe that the schools on the eastern side of the state don't get frustrated and say, why are we going to La Crosse? Why don't we have it in Stevens Point? It's
a really good facility in La Crosse.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah. That's a beautiful facility. There's no question. I know the state high school track meet down there has been there for a long time. The only thing, and I don't know, I was down there 2 or 3 years ago, and Brandon was there at the same time. And it rained cats and dogs.
That's the thing. It's like it's either hot or it's rainy, it seems like, every year there.
And in the track, of course, these all-weather tracks aren't affected so much. But the field events, the long jump, the high jump, the shot and the disc and those sorts of things, when I was there, it was inexcusable that they were having that meet that day. The rings where they throw the shot put and where they, throw the discus underwater. Now that's not fair to the athletes. I mean, you look at everything else. I mean, you can have outdoor weather for football. It can be tough, but it doesn't take much to put a facility in someplace that would have, I don't know, put a tent over it or whatever. I mean, they got big tents, but it was unfair because Jackson Acre, again, I talked about this at the time. He threw the discus over 200 feet. I don't know how many times during his senior year when he was down there, I don't know, Verona or Oregon, and got to the state meet. It was raining cats and dogs, and it was mud.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't break the state record. He broke the state record, I don't know how many times. And this is another thing that drives me nuts. He got me on a tangent now. I hope you know that. But this is another thing that drives me nuts. If you're going to have these track meets and you've got certified officials, why doesn't it count that the record, the distance he throws it during a regular track meet is a new state record? I mean, the state record can only be set at the state track meet.
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, we use records, home run records, say, for the whole season, not just at the state tournament. So, I mean, I don't understand it. Somebody that knows more than I do has to explain it, because you've got certified officials from the WIAA running these meets. They're running the clocks. They're running the distances. It's all measured out. It's all, I just don't understand it. But but anyway, it's always great to watch these kids, these athletes perform down there at the state track meet. And if you want to see something neat, go to the state track meet. It really is.
Yep.
It really is a good time. Hopefully you'll pick a better day than I did. It must have rained 3-4 inches that day. It was just horrible.
Man. I mean, Carson Park too today is going to be busy. Got the Express returning, but before that, North and Memorial Baseball regional final today
that's
too.
At 1:00, isn't it?
Yeah, so you got that game today too. So Carson should be busy.
Should be a busy place
and gorgeous day. It sounds like too.
It's going to be a great day for baseball. Let's play two, as old Ernie Banks used to say. Good day to play two.
Well, that's what they're doing at Carson today.
Yeah,
they're playing two.
That's
so.
Right.
And then a little bit before that, the Brewers will start a little bit before that. First pitch 12:10 as they look for a series win against the Cubbies. Bats came out last night against former ERA leader of Major League Baseball. But it was a Blake Perkins show last night. 2-run home run, a couple diving robbing a home run, and then a diving catch on the warning track. Yelly hit a homer. Willie Adames hit a homer.
Adames needed a homer after Bellinger took it away the other night. I mean, it's great to watch these outfielders go over the wall and bring these balls back. I mean, it's really great. But if you're the hitter, it's frustrating.
Yep. I could still picture Willie's face after that got robbed in that game.
So it's good the Brewers had a little payback.
Yep, exactly. But, I mean, what an offensive performance last night for the Crew, jumping out to an early lead thanks to Christian Yelich's 2-run home run in the first there, and then definitely run support throughout. So bats coming alive after the first 2 days were kind of pitching tools.
Yeah, I guess so. I wonder what I wonder what the view is different from the third base dugout versus the first base dugout. I mean, and when he stands there and looks around and sees all these things he's been looking at for years and years and years, Bernie Brewer up there and all that car that sits out in the center field way up. I mean, what he thinks when he looks at that.
And pretty much every player on that roster that he coached, for the longest time over there too. But were you a little surprised of how loud the boos were on Monday?
No.
Yeah.
Not initially, because we're fans. We've got our team, and we feel that he bolted and left. And and the way he did it, like we talked about this last week a little bit about the fact that, he was rumored to go to the Mets. You brought up he was rumored to go to the Mets with Stearns. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Craig Counsell is new manager of the Cubs. David Ross, the previous manager, didn't have any inkling this was going to happen.
Yep.
I was upset. I just think it was kind of not just for Brewers fans, but for David Ross. And this, I think it was kind of a dirty deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, more power to him. He got, what do you get, $40 million or something like that?
$8 million a year.
$8 million a year for 5 years. Good for him. I don't begrudge him that at all. But just the way he did it. And I have nothing against Counsell. He did a nice job with the Brewers. and I think he put them on a winning track. No question about it. But I just am not surprised by the boos because, Milwaukee's a blue collar town, and they're chewing tobacco, and they're spitting it out, and they're telling you what they feel, and nobody's going to go up and slug him,
no,
but they're going to boo him,
right? They're going to welcome them back in their
the Bronx cheer, so to speak.
Exactly.
I wasn't surprised, and no. I don't think it was in poor taste at all.
No, not at all. So
I don't like all the booing, but in this case, it was kind of a one-time deal, and then scattered boos from here on out.
Yeah, the next
and things like that.
It's going to be, it won't be as loud going on, for next year, the rest of this year, or whatever.
But every time he shows up at home plate, he's going to get booed. I don't care whether it's this year or 5 years from now.
Yeah, even last night when he was making some pitching changes, to Hendricks, getting booed, but not as loud. And that's going to be expected.
Oh, absolutely.
The rest of his career, wherever he's at. So
especially if the Brewers can beat the Cubs. 2 out of 3 so far. Hopefully it'll be 3 out of 4. That sends a bigger message to Council than any boos.
Yep, exactly. Right. I mean, don't look now. Cubs and Cardinals are now tied for second.
Yeah.
Cubs are both teams are at 500. Brewers are up 4.5 on both of those teams right now.
And I don't know what Marmol has fed his Cardinals, but when they were in Milwaukee a week, 10 days ago, and I was down there for a couple of games, I didn't think that was a good minor league team, let alone a major league team. I mean, Arenado was terrible. Goldsmith didn't even play first game or two. And, they had guys that just couldn't hit a lick. And now after they left Milwaukee losing 3 out of 4, they went on a winning streak and they're playing pretty good baseball.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, if the Brewers can get this win tonight, go up 5.5 over the Cubbies, you take a look at this upcoming schedule. You got the White Sox in town. That should be a win. Series win against the White Sox.
Never say that because
never say it, but it should be.
That's when the Brewers always stub their toes.
And not to look too far ahead, but with how this team's playing and offensively, starting Monday, 3 games against the Phillies. That should be a fun series.
That should be a real fun series because Philadelphia is playing very good. They're about 6 games ahead in the East, and Atlanta's losing Acuna.
Yep,
that's not going to help their efforts. So I think Philadelphia probably is going to be a prohibitive favorite here by the All-Star game in that National League East.
Yeah, I mean, not to kind of pick on anybody or anything like this, but you look at the Cubs right now; they're 500. And 4.5 back from the Brewers right now. The Mets are a mess right now with Jorge Lopez. I don't know if you saw what happened last night. So relief pitcher Jorge actually was former Brewer, I believe back in 2015-ish over there. He got ejected. He threw his glove in the crowd, and then after the game just went off saying this is the worst team he's ever been on. Shortly after, got designated for assignment after all those antics and such. But it has not been good for the Mets in first year. And we knew they were kind of rebuilding that, but still it's New York, right? It's the Mets. You got the Cubs there, and then look at the Brewers right now with what they're doing.
Maybe Council had some real insight into how bad that Mets team was.
Yeah.
Or is.
Yeah.
What does this mean for Pete Alonso going forward? He's not going to be there very long. And Lindor, some of these guys that they got some pretty good investments in, and they're just not doing it.
No.
It's not been just this year.
Well, look at last year when they spent all that money
and got nothing back.
Nothing over there.
Stearns isn't such a magician in New York yet.
Not at least in his first year over there. So I know they were going to kind of tear it down and kind of restart. But I mean, when you got a guy saying this is the worst team I've ever been, I mean, the vibes cannot be pretty darn good right now.
No, he's probably not the only one thinking it. He's the only one that said it, but where he'll end up, who knows?
Right. And he's been a guy that's pitched a lot this year for the Mets too. So I'm just saying Brewers might need some more arms if he wants to return to Milwaukee or something like that. But I mean, it's just been, I know we keep saying it with this Brewers team, but I mean, for last night, it's Blake Perkins having a career night, Robert Gasser the other night. And I mean, this kid, his 4th career start, first of all, his first career start you were at against the Cardinals, which I mean, he looked like a veteran out there. And then he gets the start in game 1 with Counsell returning him. Dude looks like a pro out there. I mean, just so calm, cool, collected.
And he'll get shelled eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is only to be expected. But so far, boy, he's a diamond in the rough.
Right. I mean, now you kind of wonder, okay, the Josh Hader trade, did it?
Yeah, this is something that we got in the Josh Hader trade. It took a couple of years to manifest itself, but this kid looks like he's first 4 or 5 starts, the real deal. And of course, that doesn't make a career or even a season, but so far so good.
I think in 4 games too, 4 starts. He's walked 1 batter. That's it.
I didn't realize that.
1 batter in his first 4 career starts.
Boy, and any coach, pitching coach, manager will tell you that's the secret.
Yeah.
Don't put guys on base.
It's just there's the 2 things that really stand out to me about him is that poise he looks like he has, but he just throws strikes. He throws strikes. 1 walk in 4 starts.
I didn't realize that. That's pretty phenomenal.
It's unbelievable for me to, and I still remember the walk because it was really close too, because they made a big deal about it. You know, it was a close one over there, but yeah, it was this kid. Man, I hope he continues to be something special, because right now he's really showing that. So,
yeah.
But
receiver defer, because I won't be here. Receiver, this just came to mind. You know, we got a lot of contract talk about Jordan Love in Green Bay. Receiver defer. Gasser should be given an extended contract right now. I mean, they did it with Freddie Peralta years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that poor guy, he got the short end of a 1-run effort the other night after pitching a great ball game.
11 strikeouts.
Yeah, he had a great game. But receiver defer. And again, we're looking after only 4 starts. So, you know, it's a kumbaya. Everything is good right now. There's a silver lining, all those other things you could say. But sign Gasser to a longer-term contract than he's got right now.
Why not? I mean, they did it with Ashby, right? Aaron Ashby might be the better one.
I would be too, but this kid, you know, like we said, he's going to get shelled. He's going to, you know, every pitcher does. But unless he's one of the real rare ones. But, boy, I'd be thinking about maybe this kid deserves a lead, not now, but I mean, but if his year he doesn't get hurt, or his year continues to be this good, give him a little grease.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, I mean, there's just a bunch of dudes this year. I mean, Willie Adames is having a bounce back here. Christian Yelich is displaying, you know, the power again. Obviously, we talked a lot about Contreras, Hudson, relief pitcher, who came in the first game after Robert Gasser and shut it down after that too. I mean,
a lot of support from a lot of different areas. But again, like we said, at least I don't know how you feel about it, but I still think Yelich is the key to success. If he can stay healthy and do what he does, not only the home run last night, the way you get them started, but he just, when he gets on base, he's just a real spark plug for that team. And I think because he's a veteran, he's been an MVP, the rest of the guys, young guys, which are so many on this team, look up to him as far as leadership and how to play the game. And if he can stay healthy and play the game the way he can, as far as his hitting and base running and just knowledge of the game and the feel for the game, I still think that is the key. Of course, pitching is always predominant, but as far as the position players, I think Christian Yelich is the key to the success. Contreras is a pleasant surprise. We knew he was good, but, you know, I didn't think he'd be in the discussion for MVP after the first month or 2 of the season.
Right. And then, you know, a couple other rookies, Joey Ortiz, who's been having a fantastic, glove work has been there, but offensively now he's up to 280 with his batting average.
A little power.
Yep. And the thing is, too, is like, remember, this is all, they're taking their lumps and highs and lows with Jackson Chourio, you know, getting some playing time here, too. Chourio, obviously, he's had his moments. He's showed some power. I know the conversation for him the last couple of days has been, you know, his defensive work. That Freddie Peralta game, I know there was some frustration because he didn't dive for a ball, and you could tell Freddie was a little upset. Apparently, him and Freddie had a chat in the dugout. Freddie was just kind of being a leader, you know. And Pat Murphy said afterwards too that he would have liked to have seen Chourio dive for that. They're trying to work on that with him, because the one area he's struggling at right now is, you know, going back for a ball. So he plays deep and that doesn't allow him to get up to those. But then last night he makes a diving catch in right field up there. So
he's growing.
And that's the thing, is like this team is winning with this young guy who's going to have ups and downs and growing over there too.
Where's Mitchell? Speaking of that, young guys in the outfield, what's his status?
He should be. What was the last one here? I don't know. The way Blake Perkins is manning center field right now. Too,
oh, no, I know they're not deficient, but I'm just saying there's another guy that can offer a lot of help.
Right, exactly.
He showed that before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was hurt that bad when he went down. I didn't think he'd be out this long. So I'm hoping he comes back, because he can offer an awful lot too. He's a major leaguer.
This was back in April, a little bit old here, but Matt Arnold said that at that point he's expected to return around the start of June, but that's this weekend. So I'll see if I can find a more updated one here.
What did he hurt? I forgot.
I think he broke a finger.
Oh, boy.
In there too. So
yeah, you can't squeeze a bat if you broke a finger.
Yeah, but gosh, this is such a fun team to watch this year.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and you keep saying, well, they'll go into their slumps. And this last road trip, I thought that was a chance for him to go into a slump. But, now you look forward with Philadelphia coming in, or going to Philadelphia. That's going to be a tough nut to crack, but we'll see.
And it's a good test, right? To open up June.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic test.
What was and I don't remember now, so long ago, what the preseason predictions were in the division. Did they say before all
Cubs were the favorites?
Cubs were the favorites.
Yep.
And I know the Cardinals weren't expected to be all that good.
Reds were expected to be up there.
Yeah. And the Brewers in the middle of the pack, I would expect.
Because
all the young players and the questionable pitching with Woodruff out, and of course Corbin Burns going to Baltimore. Then you got you got Miley coming in, and now he's gone. So I think this team and Murphy deserve a real pat on the back and a lot of support. They're going to have a rough skid, that. I don't know when it might be or how long it might be, but being young guys, and some of these teams, if they run into a really hot team, and Philadelphia is a very good baseball team, and they've kind of put it together now, and they're doing really well.
This was from CBSSports.com with their picks, preseason picks. All but how many? So we got 6 writers here. 5 of the 6 picked the Cubs to win. The lone one picked the Cardinals to be the division leaders. Only one writer picked the Brewers to finish second. Nobody picked them to finish third. A couple picked them to finish fourth. 3 picked the Brewers to finish dead last.
Still a long season, but so far those guys haven't been real accurate.
Yeah, nobody picked them to go to the postseason. That's it from CBS Sports. MLB.com, one of the articles I looked up, they had the Cubs. They didn't list anybody else, but they had the Cubs winning the division. The Ringer had the Cubs winning the division over there too. So
it puts a lot of pressure on Council because really and truly they didn't do a lot in the off season outside of bringing in Council because Bellinger, there was question whether Bellinger was going to sign someplace else and leave. I think he's only got a 1-year deal with the Cubs right now, so it's not a long-term love affair between the Cubs and Bellinger unless he returns to his MVP status. And
Dansby Swanson hasn't been really offensively,
and Ian Happ. I mean, they've got guys that we know, but I don't think they're difference makers. So I think this division is up in the air.
Yeah. I know they brought in Imanaga, who pitched last night, and he was off to a fantastic start up until last night. But I think, I think one thing that surprised a lot of people, the Cubs maybe weren't as active in free agency that I think a lot of people expected. Okay, you're spending that much money on Craig Counsell. Now they're going to be one of the biggest players in free agency. And it was fairly quiet.
Yeah, they didn't do much at all. Didn't do much at all. I tell you, that kid that pitched the night before, though, he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, that's another young prospect they got coming up here. Was really that Brown over there?
Yeah. I watched 2 or 3 innings, and I thought, ooh, this kid's got him baffled.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, again, what do you think about and I know this kid's a young kid, this, that, and the other, but he got a no-hitter through 7 innings, and Counsell takes him out.
Yeah. That's really surprised anybody considering our history.
But I don't know how to explain it, how to explain how I feel. I just think it's not fair to the kid.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give the kid a chance to get a no-hitter. I mean, the kid says, "Well, I understand he's protecting me for the future and this, that, and the other thing," and maybe that's true. But I guess I'm more old school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he'd went out there and Bob Gibson was on the mound and said, "Well, I'm going to take the ball from you,"
Yeah.
Council would have crawled back because he'd have gotten. Oh my
Yep.
goodness! So I mean, it's the modern way, but being old school, I don't like it.
Yep. Yeah. And he ended up getting a no decision in that game.
Yeah, can you imagine that? No hitter for 7 innings, and he gets a no decision.
No decision.
I mean, the kid deserves. I mean, if he gets a hit, bang, out he comes. But you got to give the kid a chance. I don't know how many pitches he had thrown through 7 innings, but they, it's Council's way. I got a 8th inning pitcher, I got a 9th inning pitcher, I got a closer, I got a long reliever, this, that, and the other thing. But I don't like to see that. I don't think it's fair to the kid.
And up until last night, the Brewers were on this streak where it was over 30 some innings that they didn't have a run against a Cubs starter. Like all the runs were coming against the Cubs bullpen.
Yeah.
And they obviously snapped that last night there too. But Ben Brown, how many does it say how many pitches he is? Can I bring that up here?
But he sure was good. He had the Brewers baffled, that's for sure. I mean, he could throw it hard and then he'd break one off, and they were flailing at the ball at the best.
93 pitches in 7. So, but yeah, he looked really darn good.
I mean, he's young, he's strong. I just
big man too, 6'6".
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll finish up the first hour. Don't forget, you can join in on the convo. Hit us up with quick text 715-830-1912. We'll be back after these quick words. I know we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I know you've mentioned this story a couple times here too, so I want to get your thoughts. But yesterday, the Negro League statistics officially becoming a part of Major League Baseball statistics, and was it when you were in Kansas? Was that
Kansas
store
City.
Kansas City? You ended up running into some of them at a hotel, was it?
Yeah, we have our Farm Broadcasters Convention at a big place called the Westin Crown Center. It was just a kitty corner from the train station where they had the NFL draft in Kansas City here 2 years ago. And so it was right there. So it was fun for me to watch this. But yeah, we had a banquet one Saturday night and one part of the upper hall. And I'm standing outside and up the escalator. Here comes Lou Brock, Hank Aaron. I mean, just one African American legend of baseball after another. They were honoring the Negro Leagues because Kansas City is home of the old Negro Leagues, and it was unbelievable. The guys that were there. I mean, I was just slack jawed. It was like a little kid at a candy store, and you don't want to go over there and ask for autographs. But my goodness, it was. I mean, I was never in such company in my life like that.
Yeah.
So it was really, really neat to see. But yeah, that's interesting that they're going to allow those records to come in.
Yep. One of the names too is going to be Josh Gibson. I know we talked a little bit about him, but that's going to be a name that
greatest catcher ever, they say.
You look at some of the number. I mean, he's going to be number one in a lot of statistics now. Career batting average, single season batting average.
Yeah, and you don't know, and I have no problem with this, but people are going to ask, and rightly so, what was the competition like in the Negro Leagues? Were they playing, some of these Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, and the list goes on about guys that could have played in the major leagues, just didn't get the chance because of the color barrier. But what about the competition level? But then you can ask, well, what about going forward in the old days, the Ty Cobb era? You look at those old baseball gloves they had. They weren't much bigger than your hand. Well, now you've got all these bigger gloves. So the competition has changed over the years. So I guess I have no problem with it at all. Allow these records to be part of the Major League Baseball record forever. I don't have any problem with it.
I don't either. And Gibson's going to be one of those guys, and it'll never be accurate, but he's going to be credited with, I think it's 100 and some home runs, and those were just the home run, 160, 116, somewhere around there. But those, remember, are just the home runs that he hit in the Negro Leagues. There's talk that he hit, I'm reading here from MLB.com, over 800, even maybe closer to 1,000 in his entire career. And that's because a lot back then, for those games, sometimes they played against semi-pro teams and other teams just for extra cash over there. And it's even on his Hall of Fame plaque that, there's some talk that he might have hit 800 some career home runs. And I'll put this % he passed away at the age of 35.
He what?
Passed away at the age of 35.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's not like he played, for 25, some years. Yeah, he passed away at the age of 35, and he put up those numbers.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see. Hindsight is always 20/20, but what those guys would have meant to the major leagues if they could have played.
Yeah. He apparently felt, because I was reading about this, obviously, when his name, and I was reading a little bit more about his bio, but he was diagnosed with a brain tumor and refused to have surgery. So the next few years, he had reoccurring headaches, and then he passed away of a stroke at the age of 35.
Yeah, but he was a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So
great one, I should say. But I have no problem with that, and I don't know what the impetus was for Major League Baseball to do this. I don't know. Whether it was public pressure, whether it was just it's the right thing to do. I don't know what the reasoning was, but and so this is a stretch. But so does this mean that eventually the steroid era will be accepted? Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, those guys will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting because they age out. They get 5 years, and then if
Veterans
the Veterans Committee doesn't look at them or won't accept them, I don't know what this means going forward. How much baseball will change? How open will they be to this? Everybody says, well, put a separate wing in. Well, that's, can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you put a separate wing in for all kinds of different things. But I have no problem with putting the Negro League statistics in there.
I don't either, and that's just again shout out to back then keeping those stats, because if they didn't keep stats, if they didn't keep numbers, they're probably not being incorporated because they're not going to put in like, well, we think it's this. Nope.
I'm surprised they did too.
Mm-hmm.
But that just shows you how important baseball was back then. I mean, that was the way of life. Baseball was the game. It wasn't football,
No.
wasn't basketball. It was baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That's what athletes played.
Yeah.
Was baseball back then. And I don't know how and why or who was in charge of keeping all the statistics for all these games in the old Negro leagues, but more power to them for having the foresight to do it.
Yep.
Because it finally made a difference.
Because we made that comparison yesterday. It wasn't until what, 82 the NFL didn't start keeping track of sacks.
Yeah, Deacon Jones and those guys never got tracked for.
Yeah.
I mean, Willie Davis, all those guys never got credit for any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were going through some of those. They kept track of interceptions.
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, it was like sacks. They just never. And that's where I was like, that keep taking those books to games and keeping track of book. Never know when it might come in handy.
Oh, absolutely.
At that point.
Yeah.
So, but that's a credit to whoever kept those stats, and they kept them all these years too, because they weren't going to incorporate them if they never did that. So,
no, I think it's a good move to put those statistics in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, all right, Brewers again today. 12:10 will be first pitch. Colin Ray is going to get the start for the Crew.
He's the one pitcher on that staff that makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't trust him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he started off really good, and then it just kind of fell down. And I
inconsistent.
I don't know what to expect.
I don't either.
When he's out there on the mound.
Either. You hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hope they beat I hope the bats show up again. I mean, you had one run the night before, and then you get 10 runs. But again, when you get young players like this, you never know what you're going to get.
Right. Hopefully they got a few more runs in them for.
Hopefully they do, and hopefully
today.
Yelich and some of the veterans, Adames, can lead them again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And look at what Pat Murphy's done the last couple times too. That they've gone up against a left-handed hitter. Bryce Terang's been in the lineup. He hasn't been at the leadoff, but he's been in the lineup.
I saw that the other night. He was batting ninth.
Mm-hmm.
But what a guy to have batting ninth, because I watched. He was leadoff batter in I think the third inning or whatever it was, and he got on base.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody out. You got Terang, your best base runner.
Mm-hmm.
On base. Nobody out. Now you got your top of the lineup.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Murphy's made some awful nice moves this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I totally agree. Well, this is the last time I'm going to see you before you head off to Montana.
Yep,
so
we're going to be heading to Montana on Saturday morning, and when I get back, I'll give you a full rundown of how it was to be branding and tagging and castrating and doing all kinds of stuff with those calves.
I just watched some Yellowstone Marathon this past weekend, so I'm ready. I'm ready to go, man. So
I don't think I'll be quite as involved in some of the marathons from the Yellowstone guys, but I'll be there.
You can do your best Kevin Costner impression over there, right?
Boy, can I ever. I can't swear enough. I can't use that F word enough.
All right. Thanks, intern.
Don't forget June Dairy Month starts.
Absolutely. Brandon Berg's going to be joining us. We're going to catch up on a lot of local stuff coming up after these news updates. Second hour kicking off on this Thursday morning of May 30th. What up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. It's kind of a Freaky Friday, Thursday, because Brandon Berg is now in studio with us. How you doing, man? Getting ready for state track and field, right?
Yes. That's why I will not be here tomorrow. At this time tomorrow, I will be on the road. I will be listening to you on the road as I'm driving south.
Well, then, I was going to say text him, but don't text and drive. So
no, do not do that.
Do not do that.
It is a Friday if you have a 4-day work week.
Is it what?
It's a Friday if you have a 4-day work week. If you work Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
I was really confused.
Relatively speaking, I guess.
Yeah. So, we're gonna talk. I want to get some Brewers chat because obviously, with what's the last couple of days here with this Brewers team, I want to get your thoughts and all that good stuff on there too. But let's lead off this hour with a little local sports roundup brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center because postseason playoffs. It's like Duck Goose there. But let's start off with baseball because I know we've got some games in action tonight. And some games were in action last night or yesterday, right? We got some regional titles from yesterday. Elk Mound, Altoona, Mondovi, St. Croix Falls, Medford picking up regional finals. But we got some BRC teams in action today. Carson Park, including we got Memorial versus North in a regional final, but Chi High is taking on River Falls as well. So I don't have the bracket for me. I can look it up. But would those winners play each other then? Is that how it's seeded?
Well, yeah. The way it would work right now is North and Memorial, who are going to play at Carson, you said this afternoon. They would play the winner of either top seed Spash or Wausau East, and that's in sectionals. And sectionals, semis, and sectional finals are both next Tuesday, and they are in Marshfield.
Okay.
So that would be on one half of that bracket. The other half would be the Chippewa Falls, River Falls winner would play either 2-seed Hudson or DC Everest in the other semi. And then obviously the 2 semifinal winners will play later in that day to go to state.
So with that, there's a potential if it all works out that let's just say like Memorial or North could face Chi High if it would be at state.
That would be in the sectional finals.
Okay.
One of those teams we just talked about amongst all those different teams I mentioned would go to state out of that group.
Okay.
So they can meet in the sectional finals because they're on different ends of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The 2 Eau Claire schools are on the Stevens Point half, and River Falls and Chippewa Falls are on the Hudson half.
Gotcha. Okay. There's been some really close games.
There is.
With these baseball playoffs.
I think baseball might be the most I don't say up in the air, but the sport where you can see upsets, like especially in teams maybe they're a little bit lower seeded making runs because baseball, as we know, it's just one of those sports where it's all about your pitching, and there's some teams that are really good, but they kind of lean on one pitcher, and once you get to this part of the year, you can't really go to those you can pitch that pitcher Tuesday, but then it's not like they're going to come back and pitch Wednesday. So you can use your ace on Tuesday, but then if you're a D2, 3, or 4 team, you come back on Wednesday and you're playing somebody else, that doesn't have that's not going to be throwing their ace either, and sometimes you just, you get a good day for you or a bad day for them or whatever. And you see it a fair amount where if you look around the state, you'll see higher seeded teams that are out or lower seeded teams that are still alive. That's just, kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to it. Yesterday, Altoona as a 4 seed beating St. Croix Central. That Altoona was a good team. Playing in the middle border, there's familiarity there, but that's a team that can hit it. Lacrosse, they'll play Lacrosse Logan in sectionals, and that's a 6 seed beating a 2 seed Prescott. So the top 2 seeds in that Division 2 bracket, part of the Division 2 bracket, are out.
Right.
And the other half of that your Medford Raiders are the only top seed left. Otherwise, it's Merrill.
And they escaped with extra innings yesterday.
Yeah, they had to come from behind to beat. They had 2 tight games. They beat Rice Lake. They had to come from behind there, and then they beat Ashland, who beat Bloomer. So that's part of the reason I really like the baseball postseason is you can kind of see that Cinderella team. Last year it was McDonald who made the run. They were 4-9 going into the postseason, then made a run to state. You can, there could be another team like that this year.
And then in Division 3 on one side of the bracket, you got number 1 Elk Mound and number 2 Mondovi. You're going to be facing each other over there too. So
the class of the Dun St. Croix, and then up top, you've got. You've got Cumberland, who's solid there. They're going to be hosting that. That's. And they're going to be facing St. Croix Falls and Grantsburg. So I don't know if that game didn't get played because of weather, or the WIA is just kind of slow on getting that up, or they didn't get the score yet, or someone didn't put it in to give it to them. But either way, Elk Mound's talked about it last week. Just they have such a good history of baseball success there.
Mm-hmm.
Picking up the win over Neilsville Grand in convincing fashion. I mean, that's them and Mondovi. Those are two top Dun St. Croix teams.
Right. Yeah. So when will we? Is it next week? Late next week? Then we will know which teams advance to states.
It'll be next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday we'll
Yep,
know.
sectionals are all divisions are next Tuesday. So yeah, by next Wednesday, by the next time I'm in here, and I guess we'll see when that is, depending on what happens today
with softball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
might as well transition into that with softball, because today it's depending on who wins, we'll find out who goes to state today, right? Is everything in action for the
correct?
softball
Yeah,
games
D2,
today?
yeah, D1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all playing their sectional championship games today.
Okay, and can't ask for better weather, so that's gonna that's gonna
right. They've had to deal with enough moving around this spring that at this point from here on out, let's just give them all good weather.
Yeah, the one that I got to imagine you're going to be at or paying attention to, Chi High, who upset number 1 seeded Spash. Now they take on number 2 seeded New Richmond. Little familiarity there.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, they played twice in the regular season. New Richmond beat Chippewa both those games to win the Big Rivers championship, but they were close games. One win, extra innings, and right now, I mean, this is a spot that Chippewa's been in many times before.
Mm-hmm.
They were at state last in 2021. But and actually this year, those seniors on the Chippewa team this year, a lot of them played as freshmen on that team. So, they're not averse to the spotlight. But at the same time, this is a New Richmond team that's been really good. Just like I said, they worked their way through the Big Rivers, and this was a Big Rivers, I think, that had a little bit more depth than maybe we've seen the last few years. With two sectional final teams here, Menominee had a really solid season. They lost to Spash. You got Rice Lake, who's still around. I mean, they're always going to be a threat in the postseason, and they were a potent foe in the Big Rivers in the regular season. So, the Big Rivers is guaranteed to get a team down the state, and that game is going to be in Baldwin. I can cross off Baldwin and good old Mill Pond Park as a place I've never been to cover a game, but I will be today.
Nice. And then if you want to, not far from us, Altoona is hosting Rice Lake, 1 seed versus 1 seeded Mosinee. In action today too. So got that in Division 2. Where else should we go here? Division 3 Spooners in action tonight too. As over there.
They'll be in Bloomer to take on Prescott, who is a really strong team out of the middle border.
Yep.
Top seed there. Division 4, a game that's going to actually be at Kasper Park in Chippewa, which is honestly might be the best game out of this bunch, but maybe just the most high-profile game, which would be Grantsburg and Fall Creek. Fall Creek beat McDonald on Tuesday 6-3, and these are the top 2 ranked teams in the state in the final state coaches poll of the regular season.
And they're going at each other for a spot at state.
That's sectional. When you look at the Final Four, Grantsburg beat Shell Lake. Grantsburg had to rally to beat Shell Lake. Shell Lake, was up on them in the later innings, and then the bottom half, you have Fall Creek beating McDonald. Those are 3 of the top 6 teams in the state rankings. And after the game, McDonald coach, he said to me before, but he even said after the game, he goes, whoever comes out of the sectional is going to be in a really good spot to possibly win a state championship, because they are going to be tested. There's not another section in the state that, on paper had this much power in it, this much potency with, this many good teams. So whoever's going down there, be it Grantsburg or Fall Creek, is going to be in a spot where they can say, hey, we've seen a lot of good teams. We're going to see good teams at state, but we've already seen good teams on the way. There was no easy road for us to get to Madison.
Yeah. And then your Thorup is still alive today too. They're going to be in Athens taking on, is it Mellon?
Mellon, yes.
Over there. So
Mellon with one of the great mascots in the state.
What do they got?
The Granite Diggers.
I love it when you bust out a mascot.
Yes, but Thorup picking up an 11-7 win against Athens on Tuesday. They trailed early, but made the comeback. And yeah, they'll take on Mellon today. And Thorup is a team that really, a bit like Rice Lake in the Big Rivers, is a beneficiary of being the smallest team in a good conference. They've played Fall Creek twice. They played McDonald twice. I mean, they even played, teams like Bloomer, who were, almost won a regional title, and a lot of other solid teams that are bigger than them. And this is when that really comes into play. It's a team that has only 1 senior on it, a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors, some freshmen that play. And, it's been about just kind of getting better throughout the year for them, and they have. And late in the year, they had a tough loss to Cadet. And, getting a chance to chat with Coach Kirk Reiner after that game, he said, it's a bummer to lose this game, but, it's not necessarily a bad thing if we learn from it. And I really think they did. Offensively, they're a team that 1 through 9 can, put together good at bats. And at the Division 5 level, that's big. There's no easy outs in that lineup. Defensively, they had a few miscues on Tuesday, but they worked through that, and pitcher Jasmine Stratton's had some good games here in the playoffs. So they're going to go into. I think they're going to go into that game with a lot of confidence. And I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't really know much about Mellon besides their mascot. But this time of year, and even Fall Creek coach Brad Zaransky told me after the McDowell game, I asked him about being so familiar with your opponent, because that's the third time they'd played this year, and they've played a lot over the years. What does that mean? He said, really, this time of year, just in general, like if you're a team, if you're in softball, like who you're playing matters, but it's not like you're matching up what you do to face them. It's not like maybe football or basketball where you may tweak some things because you're playing a run heavy team or a pass heavy team or a team that likes to shoot threes. Like at this point, you are who you are, and you match up with somebody else, and you just kind of try to do what you do, and you let the chips fall where they may.
Mm-hmm. Man, a lot of good action going on right now with softball and baseball. And then you got, well, first of all, before we get to state track and field, we got golf.
Yes, we do.
Golf, some teams, individuals qualified for states in the last couple of days here too. Memorial is going for the 4th straight year.
They're going back as a team with Hudson. Memorial won the sectional over in Hudson on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
They're back. I mean, as you mentioned, they
didn't win the BRC, but it's almost like they've almost not the down.
No, but just that the battle didn't end there.
Right.
You knew that it would probably be those two teams battling again for the top spot sectionals, and that's what it was.
Yeah. What I see, Chautauqua Warehouse also is going to states.
Yep, they're going to. Yeah, they're going. I mean, there's some good representation. There always is.
Yeah.
And there's some individuals that are going as well, like D3. That it's just this area has gotten really good, I think, with golf.
Yep.
And both with the large schools, but also with the small schools too. You mentioned Chautauqua Warehouse, and they've had such a good year that seeing you kind of could see them at some other tournaments, and they were really stacking up well. And it just when it came crunch time for them, they're golfing at up in Buck, and they just went and took care of business on a day where it wasn't easy to do because depending on where you were, the weather wasn't ideal. It was a bit miserable out there, and they just powered through it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So. And then where you will be tomorrow
and Saturday,
we've got state track and field, Brandon. And again, a lot of people and a lot of teams that will be well represented over there. So, we're not purposely ignoring anybody or anything if we happen to not mention, because there is a lot. There's a lot, and best of luck and congrats to everybody who's over there. But for anybody who hasn't been to this event, Brandon, I mean, you've talked about it quite a bit. Is it one of your favorite events to go to?
It is. Yeah. It is. It takes a lot to kind of wrap your head around it because there's just so much going on, and it's always a big crowd there, especially Saturday when you've got Division 1, 2, and 3 all competing at the same time. But it's just such a spectacle, I guess maybe is the right way to put it. Like you've got all this stuff going on. I really like it because you have athletes from pretty much every school. Like I think it's the sport where you have the most statewide competition because not every school has a wrestling team, but pretty much every school has a track team. And it's just so fun when you hear the different school, like when they announce there's just the different schools and the different athletes from there, and it's so rapid fire that it's like, okay, well, this race is done. Okay, well, we're on to the next race. Like you don't have to wait long to see something really fun. And then you've got the field meets going on, the field events going on in the infield, so you can kind of see some of those from the track as well. And it's just something I really enjoy a lot. It's one of those things where it's a lot of work, but it's so much fun because with track and field, there's all like when you do what we do, like there's always a story that's going to come out of it. Like there's ones you're not going to expect. Like there's years where, there's athletes I've covered that have won state titles. I didn't think there was any chance they were going to. Like it almost surprises you a little bit. Like, just on that given day, those athletes really rose, rose to the occasion and took care of business. You never know. And that's kind of the fun thing too, is you can go in there with a plan of, okay, I got to look out for this, 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 and this, but you never know.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be, anybody wants constant updates, make sure you're following Brandon on Twitter.
I will be doing my very best. You got Division I kicking it off tomorrow with that first session, which I believe gets underway at 9:30. And then you have 2 sessions. So, and then the afternoon, which I think around 3, then you'll have Division 2 and 3 going through. And then Saturday, they all go together.
Okay.
So,
because that's pretty much championship Saturday, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. On Saturday, everything and that is competed in is a final. And that there are finals on Friday, but not everything. Like your sprints, your shorter relays, those will all be doing prelims. But like all your field events will be finals, be it Friday or Saturday. But and all your distance races are, because you're not going to run, 2 miles on back-to-back days. But basically, the best way to put it this way: any event where an athlete on the track runs 1 lap or fewer on Friday is a prelim. So your 1, your 2, your 400s, your 400, your 800, your 1600 relays. Those are all prelims on Friday to get to Saturday. Everything else will be a final. So your 1 mile, your 2 mile, your 4x8 relays. Those will all be finals, be it Friday and Saturday. And those are kind of split up too. So, so they're not all doing, boys and girls aren't all doing the same distance race the same day. And they try to split those up anyway, because a lot of times you have the same athletes running, maybe you run the 1 mile and the 2 mile, and they're not going to have you run both those in the same day. So they're pretty smart about how that's split up.
Okay.
So, there's a ton of athletes that are going down there in 4 events. I think somebody like Izzy Sontag from Cadet, who's the reigning state champion, the 400, but she's also doing the 100. She's also the top seed in the 100 relays. She's also a part of the 4x8, and then she's also in the long jump. But the way it works out, she's not going to be competing in all 4 events on the same day.
Okay.
It's just kind of split up with the way it is, where I think it's like 3 and 3.
Okay.
So it's not, it's not quite as taxing.
Right.
And even I've talked with some of the athletes that are doing multiple events, like how's that different from a regular meet where you may be doing 4 events. And it's a big difference, just when you don't have to focus, or you can just focus on, 1 or 2 events one day versus, okay, well, I got to go get my long jumps in, and then I got to go do this. And that was always the thing that was so impressive to me about now Iowa State runner Brooklyn Sandvig, who Chip was, great sprinter from the last few years, was, she would be doing these sprints, and then she would also be doing the long jump. So she would be doing 4 events a day because it was all sprints. So over the course of a weekend, she would be doing 7 events because she would be doing 4 on Friday.
Yeah.
Or 4 on Saturday, depending on when the long jump was, but then she would be doing 3 on the other. And that was just a lot.
Yeah.
You're getting tested.
Absolutely. Wow. All right. A lot of good stuff, Brandon. Thanks for breaking it all down for us, man. We're gonna take a quick break. Brandon's gonna probably hit up the water machine again here and rehydrate. We get back to some more baseball talk. Brewers trying to win the series in a few hours from now, later this afternoon against the Cubbies. We'll hit that up. Coming up after these quick words. Brewers looking for a series win. By the way, really quick, coming up in about a half an hour here. We've mentioned his name a couple times here, especially with Jake Boakes, our DNR warden buddy. He's in town these last couple days. I think today's his last day. Ed the Diver is going to be joining us in the studio. If you know who Ed the Diver is, look him up on Facebook. He got like over 50,000 followers on Facebook. But he goes and scuba dives into rivers and lakes and like finds stuff and trash and cleans up the waterways and such. So he's actually been in Eau Claire the last couple days and saw that, shot him a quick message. Dude sounds like he's a cool dude, so he's going to stop by for a quick chat. And I think he's going to the UP after this.
Ooh.
Up in Upper Michigan right now.
You mean Northwest Wisconsin?
Northwest Wisconsin.
Should be.
Northeast Wisconsin. Doesn't it go a little east?
Well, I guess it depends on where in the UP is.
Yeah.
Northwest.
Northern Wisconsin.
It should be Northern Wisconsin.
Yes. We need to make
Let's
that trade.
make a deal, Michigan.
Yep. Let's make a deal. So, for a quick chat there. So, by the way, you got a question too. You're going to be over here helping me ask questions. So, you're not going to the bench, man. You're
all right.
You're going to the. You're moving up in NBA terms, the first bench. With the coaches and that. Not Chris Finch in the second row there. So, Brewers though, Brandon. Let's go back to Memorial Day, just really quick because I want to get your thoughts here. And I've asked this to everybody I've talked to. Were you surprised? And people probably getting annoyed about this, but were you surprised of how loud the boos were on Monday for Craig?
No, I wasn't. I think part of it too was I just, obviously there was a good amount of Cub fans there. I just don't think maybe in that moment they just were very loud.
Yeah.
So when the people that are mad are loud and the people that aren't,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be loud.
Yep.
But at the same time, that doesn't surprise. Like,
mm-hmm.
it felt to me like, and I said it last week, it just felt, and this whole series, I think in general, has just kind of felt like a bit of a cathartic moment. Like, it's like, this was kind of like almost the last check mark you had to get to.
Yeah.
Like, you had to see Craig Counsell as the Cubs manager back at American Family Field. Like, and for it to set him to be like, okay, now we can, kind of get on and everyone can just, and then, I mean, after the series, he's still going to be the manager of the Cubs and he's still going to get booed, but he's not going to get booed as much as he did this week.
No.
People are getting out of their system now and,
mm-hmm.
It becomes less angering and more just annoying.
Yep.
I think after this point for a lot of people.
Yep. I would agree with that. To the games itself, to that game, what else can we say about Robert Gasser and his start? There's two things that really jump out to me. How calm he looks out there. But the second, the guy in 4 starts, 1 walk. He has thrown 1 walk. And I still remember that walk because they made a big deal about it because it was a close pitch for that final. 1 walk for a guy who started just 4 games so far.
Right.
That's unbelievable.
Right. And look, that's going to change. This isn't a jinx if he comes out and walks 2 or 3 people his next start. Like, you're not going to be a starting pitcher and walk
one guy throughout your career.
That few amount of players. That's just, it's like the, Shota Imanaga thing yesterday where it's like, is he cooked because he got up to such a good start. It was due to happen. Mm-hmm. It's Major League Baseball. Like, he was due to have a bad game. And, Birds fans are happy it happened last night. But, he has done all you could expect him to do. He's come up. You said he's thrown strikes. Like, and the biggest thing, too, I think, because, like, his stuff is good, but it's not overpowering, he really has to mix and kind of locate well. And he's done that. He hits mid-90s. He's got the change up. The sweeper's a big pitch.
Yeah.
That's a big pitch for him. And I think because he's successful with that, it kind of helps his other stuff play up a little bit. His fastball or his sinker, which is good, but it makes it look a little quicker. It makes it differentiates enough from the cutter. He can mix in the changeup. We've seen him get swings and misses there, and he's pitching deep into games. Like, that's the quickest way to get on the good graces of any manager is pitch deep into games.
Yeah.
So that's all you can hope for out of him. And he's someone that might have been up a little earlier if not for the injury suffered near the end of spring training. But now he's quickly, emerged as a guy like that. You can really depend on every time he goes out there.
Yeah. No doubt about it, man. I mean, you look at a lot of these rookies that have been. Joey Ortiz continues to get better. I mean, last night was Blake Perkins. I know he's not a rookie, but I mean, Blake Perkins.
So he's a younger guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, what didn't he do last night? He hits a 2-run home run, then he makes a robbing a home run, then he makes a diving catch over there. I mean, the range he showed off in center field last night was pretty spectacular.
But the only thing he didn't do was sell a beer in Section 118. But yeah, he is, to me, Blake Perkins is kind of almost that perfect fourth or fifth outfield. Like, he shouldn't be starting every day just because his bat isn't great.
Mm-hmm.
But, the defense is there. So he's a guy that's going to be able to come in later in the games. He's a switch hitter. So, you can kind of work with that however you want. He has his moments. He can have some power. Sometimes he's got speed, so he can steal some bases, and he's patient. But he does swing and miss a fair amount. But still, like, as a guy to have in that outfield group, as a guy that you can park in center field and know, okay, we're gonna get a good defense there. The Brewers have really, over the years, have really prioritized defense up the middle. I mean, you can look at who they're throwing out there right now: William Contreras,
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Terang, Willie Adames, and more often than not, Blake Perkins.
Yeah,
I mean, those are all plus defenders.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's just, and even going back to spring training when people were kind of doing their putting together their 26-man roster, I thought like not enough people were giving him the benefit of like Blake Perkins is on this team because of what he provides defensively. Like, it's almost like in football, if you have like a good like situational rusher, like I'll use the example for the Vikings of Brian Robinson. He played a lot of years with the Vikings. Like he got overshadowed a lot because of Everson Griffin and Daniil Hunter and Jared, maybe earlier on in his career, Jared Allen. But Brian Robinson was always good for like 8 sacks. And that is very valuable in football. Even if he's not your the top guy you're worried about, that's a guy that is going to, probably a time or two a game, make a play that might help you win.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's kind of Blake Perkins.
I remember, was it about maybe a couple months ago when Pat Murphy had the quote about Blake Perkins, like he wasn't a Blake Perkins guy when he first came in.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I love that guy. I bet you he really loves him after last night.
Right. And I mean, you can kind of look at it now too. I mean, remember the comment he made in spring training about Bryce Terang, the
Mm-hmm.
quantum leap, the Scott Bakula quote. And, a lot of people, including myself, are like, really? Like, I've not really seen it, but obviously that's been the case so far. I mean, he's quickly been elevated to the leadoff spot, and he should be there. Like, he is exactly what you want out of a leadoff hitter in that he hits for a good average, but he takes his walks.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets on base, I mean, you have to imagine that William Contreras and Christian Yelich love having him on base.
Yeah.
Because with as quick as he runs, as he can run, like you hit a ball in the gap, he's scoring from first.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, there's just been a lot of positive developments with this group, especially this younger group. And I think, maybe there's been more development with those guys than some people, including myself, expected. But I think this is why a lot of people were content with just letting the young guys play.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know. Like you're never going to know what they can do until you give them a shot.
And one of those young guys too, that's kind of having an up and down season is Cheerio a little bit. I mean, he's shown a lot of offense and that. And I know the big one now that that a lot of people are questioning the last couple of days has been defense. Because he plays deep. And, the other night, the Freddie Peralta game where Freddie kind of showed some frustration that Cheerio didn't dive for a ball. And I know Pat Murphy said afterwards he'd like to see Cheerio dive for that ball. Dives for one last night, right field, and makes it. But a lot of the talk has been he doesn't, he struggles a little bit going back for a ball. So they play him deep. They love his side to side.
And that's not uncommon. A lot of times you'll see like the really good defensive outfielders tend to play shallow because they're comfortable going back.
Mm-hmm.
That is, think of over the years, guys like Lorenzo Cain, Carlos Gomez, they didn't get beat deep very often. And part of that was because they were fast and they played more shallow, but it's because they could track the ball and they had such good instincts going back. And that's just something that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
This has been said to death, but he's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
Most people at his age are playing like A-ball.
Yep.
So you have to understand, it's easy to understand that he's not a finished product. And there's certain parts of his game that you're just going to have to, watch develop at the majors, at the major level.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I think, to me, the what do we want to say? Like the thing that's most surprised about this team too is like, even though he's been up and down, they're still 4.5 games up in the first. They're still, top 5 all over there.
They've been playing good enough to where they can kind of work through those struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Other people are picking up the slack.
Mm-hmm.
To where, you can, he can be out there and he can be hitting 8th or 9th. And, right now he's got an OPS around 600, which is, well below the league average. But you can work through him with those struggles instead of saying, well, we really need that production. So I'm sorry, we got to go a different direction. And, you're going to be, on the bench, or we may have to send you down. No, you can work through it. And that's good for him because ultimately he's going to get better playing at the major league level.
Mm-hmm.
It might be one of those things where we get to the end of the year and his OPS, maybe it's like 680 and that's below average. But when if it's better in the second half than the first half for a guy his age, that's a positive development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So they got a game in just a few hours from now, chance to get the series win. The Cardinals now are just 4.5 back. Both
right after they left town, after the Brewers took 3 or 4. Remember, they took the last game of that series, and they've sprung to life. That offense. I mean, I think any Brewers fans that saw that team and some of those guys in that lineup knew, you're not going to write off Paul Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado or Nolan Gorman or those guys. You were just happy that it started to happen after they left town, after the Brewers have already played them 7 times and beat them 6 of 7. Now suddenly that's important to have in the back pocket.
Right.
But yeah, the Cardinals are playing a lot better. And right now, I mean, Reds, they've been struggling. Remember, I picked the Reds to win the NL Central this year.
I think a lot of people did, though, right? Cubs or Reds.
Yeah, though I think those are probably your two most popular, the two most popular picks. But the Reds just, the pitching still hasn't quite been there, and they've had some things, they've had some injuries, they've had some suspensions and stuff like that. So it's it's just kind of been worst case scenario for them so far. Even with Ellie De La Cruz having a really good start to the year, they haven't been able to kind of put it together the way that kind of some of the other teams in the Central have.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, we're going to take a quick break. We'll finish up the second hour here. If my computer, we got to clear the screen because I think the fingerprints over here, touch screen, it's damaged it. So now it's like, got to use the mouse now, old school. So, all right, quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. We got about 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Don't forget, coming up at 8:30, our good buddy Jake Boakes, Wisconsin DNR Warden, will be joining us answering your questions. We got a couple of you already sending in your questions for Jake. We got Free Fishing Weekend coming up. A couple of you with questions with that. So Jake will be joining us at about 8:30. So get those on in for our outdoor tidbits. And it's perfect timing, too, because we've actually mentioned a couple of these guys with Jake. It was just last week. And saw on Facebook and social media they were actually in the area. It's Ed the Diver and Silent J joining us in studio. Guys, thanks for taking some time this morning before you head out on the waters, I guess, later this morning.
Yeah, glad to be here. We're headed up to Lake Wissota in Chippewa Falls area. Just we got to be there by 10, so we got a little time to burn this morning.
Yeah, so this is really cool because I follow you guys on Facebook for a while now. No, I think I told you in the email too. I was like, I just was mentioning you to Jake, our DNR warden, the other day about your videos. And if nobody hasn't, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has because you got a ton of followers right now.
Yep, growing.
Right, exactly. So first things first, how did you get into this? How did you get into diving and checking, cleaning up and I mean, you guys got a boatload of fishing lures that you guys find and all that. What was it that got you into that?
Well, I'm an outdoors guy, so teaching my kids how to fish, and them and myself losing all my lures. I had to go back and get them, so I started going in there with waders, picking them out with a golf ball retriever, which then when the water warmed up, I got my shorts on, a mask, went underwater, had a little boogie board attached to me, would throw all the lures on the boogie board, but then I started to notice all the trash in the water too, and all the fishing line. Instead of just cutting the lure off the line, leaving the line, I thought, hey, I got to do something about this. So I started, I put a little tray on my board and I started throwing all the trash in there. And I ended up getting scuba certified in 2019, and it just blew up from there. Social media channel, all the stuff I could pick up. I ended up getting a kayak so I could haul more stuff like bicycles, tires, rims, anything like sometimes safe money bags, typewriters, sewing machines, all kinds of stuff.
Just what's been like the weirdest thing or the coolest thing that you've found so far? Is there something that really stands out in your mind?
Well, we see a lot of bones. Of course, we leave those down there, whether they're animals or human. We don't want to disturb them. We find knives yesterday. Found a knife in Duncan Creek with the tip broken off, a big old kitchen knife. Yeah. Right in the Chippewa Falls there. We found stolen jewelry. Got that back to the owner. Found a really dirty Barbie. From 1993. I
read this story. Yeah. So tell that.
Sold that on eBay for $1,225, and one of the reasons why it sold so high is because they want to support our cleanup efforts. Because a lot of the stuff we do is free, even though I do have a recovery business and charge for that. I charge for public speaking sometimes. This helped raise funds for us to go on a tour like this.
That's right, because you do take donations too, which I mean you have info on your website. I was reading it a little bit this morning. Golf ball falling all over the place right now. I think you found some golf balls in the water too the other day, right?
We find a lot of golf balls in Door County 2 weeks ago. We found 840 golf balls in 45 minutes.
You're kidding me. Holy cow. So, but you do take donations. So if anybody's interested, you got the different levels of sponsorships on there too, right?
So you can just go to edthediver.com and donate, or you can go to I have a Venmo or PayPal, and the information's on my page on Facebook.
So Silent J, I got to ask, how did you get the name?
Because every time he's editing videos, he has to turn the volume up to hear it, or he's got to edit out whatever I'm saying because I work in a shipyard, so I got a potty mouth.
Yeah. So it's like every other word, it's like I got to bleep out. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna have to cut this whole clip out. Otherwise, it's gonna bleep, one word bleep.
So how did you two guys? I mean, have you guys known each other for a while, or how did you guys kind of hook up for
where
these?
I work at Marinette Marine in Marinette. Ed was a security guard years ago, and that's when I first met him. And I used to make some venison jerky and stuff like that, and give it to him. And he said, "Oh, it was the greatest stuff." And then he went off from there, and I didn't see him. And then my son was telling me follows this diver on TikTok, and he goes, he's down by the Menominee area local dam there, and he goes, can we go see him? And I said, yeah, let's go. So we get over there. He comes out of the water, and my kid's like, oh, I follow you. Can I get and he goes, if you follow me, you get a free lure. So my kid goes, I follow you. And I look at him. I'm like, I know who you are. and it's kind of like we reconnected then. And then when we've been best friends ever since.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story.
Yeah, and both him and his son got scuba certified together.
Oh, nice.
So they do it too, and they both go in the water and clean up. And he really helps me out a lot. A couple of years ago, we found over 16,000 fishing lures in multiple rivers.
No kidding.
So
and you sell those too, like on your website, right? Do you kind of clean them up and put them in packs?
Yeah, we put them in packs for the website. I used to sell them individually on there, but now we just don't have time to post all of them.
Right.
But we do sell locally. Menominee River Dam during the walleye run. I have a toy hauler. We pull up there on the weekend and just sell them, from like 9 to 5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, we do we donate to a lot of charities, fundraisers. And I was shipping all across the U.S., but now there's such a demand. I'm just trying to keep it local, Wisconsin, Michigan here.
Right, exactly. So you guys are on a Midwest tour right now, right? So, I mean, you're going, is it a 10-week tour you guys are going on?
Yeah, it's about a 10-week tour. Started this is our 3rd week. We started in Door County, then to the Dells, and then now we're here in Eau Claire area. And next week we'll be up in the UP Marquette area.
Okay.
And then, we're going to be going to Minnesota, Northern Illinois, Eagle River, like a lot of different spots yet.
Right. So, I mean, conservation, is that kind of the key core behind all this? I know you kind of talked a little bit about it with fishing with your kids, but is that the main goal for this, is to keep those waterways clean as possible?
That exactly. We want to educate people about what's underwater and the impact that, all this extra fishing line, lures, and garbage is having on the water life. We untangle a couple fish a year that are stuck on hooks, or we see a lot of dead ones. A lot of mud puppies, crayfish that have lines caught up all over them, or hooks. So we're able to set them free when we see them. But then just the different amounts of trash or batteries, marine batteries that are down there from boats flipping over. We get that out of the river. Vapes, cell phones, Apple Watches, all the stuff with batteries in them. That's not good for the water.
Right. And I think the cool thing too is I was reading a little bit with those Apple Watches or jewelry, you try to find the owners.
Try your best. And the thing is, it takes time. You got to dry them out. We find it, you try to dry it out as best as you can. Then you try to charge it. Then you try to get into it. Go to like emergency contact on the Apple Watch. See if you can find them through that. And if not, then I just take a picture of the home screen photo. And I've got a couple back like that also due to the big following we have.
Nice. Somebody just actually sent us a text and wanted me to ask you guys a question, if that's okay
fine
with you guys. They were wondering, because they follow you on Facebook and you always put to come join. Do you ask people to come join you or kind of watch you or anything like that?
Yeah, and it's been a kind of tough doing it because it's hard to prepare a schedule with the time period. But we had people during this tour. They've come up like yesterday. We had a father and 3 sons. They watched the channel and they said, "Hey, my son scuba dive too," or they snorkel, and they actually came out and helped us at Altoona Beach there. And one of them found a little GI Joe guy. And I think would they find a little diving mask, but they had fun. And then they tried to meet us at the dam after that, but they went to the wrong one. Either I messed up or they did, or whatever. They went to the Chippewa Falls Dam, and we were at the Eau Claire Dam.
Gotcha.
On the Chippewa River.
Nice. So is there any waterways like you guys try to avoid? Is it mostly river? I know you're at Lake Altoona the other day too. I mean, and I guess the other part, like, might be kind of a weird question here, but like, do you have a dream place to go check out or anything like that?
Well, I mean, we do. Like, that's another challenge with this, is planning places that we can actually see or that are safer. Up by dams when the visibility is only 6 inches and you've never been there, there's anglers. Like, I don't want to get in anybody's way. I don't want to get sucked down by some weird current or anything like that. So if we can't dive in the water, we'll just clean up the banks. And there's so much line, trash that people hide in the rocks. So we'll come out with a couple of bagfuls of trash from there, even find some lures on the banks. Now we're able to talk to people, and most of the time somebody watches the channel, so they say, "Hey, we love what you're doing." We get a picture, so that's pretty cool. But one of the places like we really like to dive, for me, it's like the Menominee River where I live, and we do so much there. The Fox River, when it's clear, you got these fishing spots that are fished really heavy, and when you're shoulder to shoulder fishing for a month straight, there's thousands and thousands of lures out there. And then you find cell phones, $700 rod and reels. And you try to return with the owners.
And sometimes I think I saw a photo of you, Silent J. If you find something and there's a kid there, you guys are handing the lures off to the kids too.
Yeah, when we first got here, the first place we stopped, I saw a tennis ball with a lure on it in the water, and I kind of fished it out, and we were talking to I think that was a father son.
Yep.
And they said they follow us, so I said, well, let's walk down the bank and find them, and I'll just hand them over to lure, because we get thousands of them. It's not like we really need them. It's like it's like nice to
Mhm.
see the joy in their face when they get something for free.
Exactly. Right.
Yep. And people donate a lot of rods, reels, lures to us. You know, maybe someone died in their family and they say, hey, we don't know what to do with this. Could we give it to you to give to kids? So we do that a lot too. And it's just been growing more and more.
You know, going back to whenever you started, did you guys imagine it exploding like this? I mean, when you say you're going to a bank and all of a sudden you got a couple people saying, hey, we watch you, we follow your channel. I mean, what's that feeling like when you hear that?
Pretty awesome feeling. Never thought it'd go this far, but it's not just like local, like the post office, the bank, everywhere we go. Even you drive, you know, across the state and you got somebody recognize you. You're driving and someone's honking their horn or they got their camera out taking pictures when they're driving by. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, no doubt. Have you been ever caught off guard going to a place and somebody recognized you? Or are you kind of used to it now at this
Not
point?
really. You know, sometimes we need a break. Like I get out of my house and try to go have a couple beers and try to respond to comments for a little while, but then you kind of get overwhelmed by people. They want to just sit and chit chat and like it gets kind of loud after a while. I got ringing in this year from diving. This one's kind of plugged up. So I mean, I like talking, but after like a couple minutes, it's like, okay, I just need a break now.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. It's a good thing, I guess.
Now, I think it was you too, Silas J, when you guys were talking about the clarity and the water was pretty dark. What kind of visibility are you usually talking about? Like, what's the average, or maybe just from around here? What was the visibility like?
The average around here is maybe a foot to 6 inches of visibility.
Okay,
it's really poor.
Yeah,
but we're used to diving in a lot of water like that. It's not so bad when you know the local waterways, but when you don't know what's there, what could be possibly there. And it's just it kind of freaks you out a little bit, but
yeah,
you don't let it bother you.
Right.
It's just, yeah, you're just down there. It's kind of peaceful, but you're in the unknown, but it's just kind of like you, God, and whatever else is down there. And maybe some fish or something weird. I don't know.
Well, we actually had another texter, our good buddy Big Worm, said, what's the biggest fish that you guys have seen diving?
What's up, Big Worm?
Definitely.
Yeah, sturgeon. You know, when you're in zero visibility, you know, just kind of feeling for lures sometimes, and all of a sudden a big old sturgeon bumps your arm and it doesn't move, but it moves your whole body.
Really?
You know, it's a big one.
I mean, those things are ancient too,
yeah,
right?
some like 7-8 feet long.
Gosh.
And they like to rub up on each other. So when there's no visibility and they rub on you, they probably think you're another sturgeon.
Yeah. We have another listener, we call him Surveyor Sam. He land surveys for a living. And he told us stories like his uncle used to, I think, be a Navy diver, but then transitioned to like, I think it was over by the Mississippi. Sam, if you're listening, you can send us a text. But they would have to go check like the piers or the bottoms, and they'd just these big catfish that would just be sitting under there. He said it was like the creepiest thing.
Yep.
Seeing those things under there.
And the thing is, I've never seen any big catfish yet. I think they hear us blowing out of our regulators, the bubbles, the loud noise, and it might scare them away. But I've heard a lot of stories from other divers that, hey, I don't dive anymore. This just freaked me out many years ago.
Yeah.
Or this freaked my dad out. He never dove after that again. Never
Really?
had that moment yet.
Yeah, man. So tour stops, you kind of mentioned. We only got a couple minutes left here. So one more day here in Eau Claire. Where are you guys going to be checking out this morning?
We're heading up to Chippewa Falls, the Lake Wissota area. There's a bridge in the south side of the lake, and then there's a party island just north of there. So we've got a guy named Jeffrey's going to come pick us up in a boat, and we're going to go do the shores. And he already said that he picked up a bunch of glass, couple barrels, pails of it. So he said there's a lot of stuff on the shore and in the water. We're going to try our best to clean her up.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you for everything that you're doing to helping keep our waterways clear, especially in up here. I mean, this is God's country, in my opinion, right? So,
Yep.
Thank you so much for stopping by here too. One quick question I got to ask, because what do you guys do in your downtime? Do you have what's your hobbies? Because you guys are like always doing something. It seems like.
He works on weekends.
He works on
I work weekends, and I actually do fish a lot.
Yeah.
So I take time to do fishing.
Good.
And if I have downtime, I'm like months and months behind in editing videos, underwater footage. And someone just asked today, do you even show underwater footage anymore? I'm like, I don't have time to edit.
Yeah.
It takes, 7-8 hours to upload, edit, and then, get it on all the social media. And I don't have that time right now.
Well, thanks again. And the website everybody should go to if they want to donate or check out and do some shopping.
edthediver.com.
Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after these news updates. third and final hour kicking off on this Thursday morning, May 30th. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from this morning. Big thanks to also Ed, the diver, and Silent J for stopping in. Just got done chatting with them. Make sure you follow Ed the Diver on Facebook with all of his videos and check out his website. If you missed that conversation, we'll put it up in our podcast later on this morning. But just really cool. I mean, over 50,000 followers, I think, on Facebook goes around. Him and Silent J going through the water, scuba diving underneath and cleaning out the rivers and the lakes across the Midwest and Wisconsin and such. They find some interesting stuff, and no doubt about it, they're doing a Midwest tour right now, and they happen to be in Eau Claire here for a couple days. So big thanks to those guys for stopping by for a little bit in studio. Again, if you missed that conversation, we'll have it up on our podcast later on this morning. Brandon's back though. Hi, Brandon.
Hello.
How are you? I do know too. There is a couple of you said there's a little bit of a hum in the background. If you're hearing the AC, I can't control that over there. I don't know. Maybe it's the AM signal you're listening to. That always has a natural hum to it because it's AM over there. But so check it out on the FM dial. But if you hear a little bit, it's our AC going on, and we actually want to be comfortable in the studio here and not have it be 95 degrees in here. Otherwise, Brandon starts to smell.
And you don't want that.
No. So, but yes, thank a couple of you have sent messages. I do know that, but out of my hands, as they say at that point. So, all right, coming up at the bottom, we'll catch up really quick with Jake Boakes, conservation warden, buddy, answering your questions. Also, Brandon, what we're gonna do is a podcast. Top 5. I don't know how to phrase this. What did you say? A top 5 occasion beers?
Yeah,
sort of
because
thing.
like you could say just like top 5 beers, and obviously people would think that's much different than we're thinking. But like the way we phrase it, I feel like that could still work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like top 5 like situational beers.
That might be the best way. Yeah, that might be the
top
best
5
way.
situations, locations, moments to crack open a cold one.
Essentially, what it was is I saw this on Twitter. I think it was last week, and I sent this to Brandon and said that we got to do this as a top 5. Where was the? Do I have the picture up here? I think I do. Yeah, I'll just go to your text. It was some Grits and Football was the Twitter account that said top 5 beers: Friday beer, airport beer, NFL tailgate beer, grilling beer, after mowing beer. So we're gonna come up with our own 5 on there. So, okay, a couple of you said it's on FM. Okay, again, appreciate that. I can't. It's our air conditioning unit right now. So, yeah, unless you want Brandon to really stink it and smell it, we don't want it 95.
Then you're gonna
degrees
get Bob
in here.
coming after me. We don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Brandon, we've got some hoops tonight too. We got the Timberwolves. Let me ask you a question. Timberwolves win tonight. Why are you frowning?
I'm not.
Okay. Timberwolves win tonight. How nervous should Mavs fans be?
I mean, a little bit, because I guess then it's 3-2, and you're kind of one away from it being one away. But I mean, I heard when you and Luke were talking about this a little bit earlier this week, and it's, I mean, now 3-0 to losing 4-3 has never been done in the NBA, correct?
Never been done in the NBA.
In the NBA,
Yep.
okay. So, I mean, it's got to happen at some point. I don't know though. Like it just with the way this Mavericks team is playing right now, even in the loss, like it took. There was a lot of things that the T-Wolves need to do to get that one win. Like I just feel like this Mavericks team is just clicking right now.
Mhm.
So I don't see it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I don't see it.
I don't see it either. Even with that game 5, not to poo-poo on it at all, because all that matters is the win. Luka and Kyrie didn't play the greatest in that game and such, and I don't see that happening. 3 games, 4 games in a row, essentially. So, but nonetheless, I mean, if you're a T-Wolves fan, obviously you'll be a little disappointed because I think you went into this series,
Oh yeah.
After dethroning the Nuggets, thinking, hey, we got home court, we got a shot to go there. you're going to be disappointed, right? But at the same time, I think when that disappointment wears off, going to be excited, really excited for the future.
Right.
At that point.
Right.
So, Stanley Cup playoffs continuing. Edmonton tied it up last night against the Stars. So we got that series tied at 2 apiece here. At least it seems like those games have been going a little bit better than the conference finals for the NBA.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
So
more competitive.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I want to talk a little. I want to bring up these quotes here from Jair and Eric Stokes from OTAs yesterday. I'm not going to break down practice.
Allen Iverson would.
But I thought they were kind of interesting quotes here. So first off, with Eric Stokes, we know he's in the same boat as Christian Watson when it comes to the soft tissue injuries, trying to figure that out. He was also sent to Madison and that. And hopefully we'll get Dr. Crow on tomorrow to talk about this. But Eric Stokes said, he found out that his foot's not strong enough. And we know he had that major foot injury a couple years ago, and that's been plaguing him. So he's really focused on lower leg strength, excuse me. And he said that he feels like he's faster now, which he was already a 4.340 type of guy. He also had this to say about Jeff Hafley. Oh, I love Hafley. He just want to go out there and have fun and just play 110 miles per hour. And that's what I love about Hafley. He always says, I'm going to go ahead and take the bullet. You just got to go out there and just have fun and just play. Jair also kind of saying his love for the new staff there, but he also threw in for the strength staff too. According to Matt Schneidman, Jair Alexander explains how defensive and strength staff changes, quote, definitely have improved his happiness and connectedness to the team. On the prior staff in that regard, I wouldn't say it was missing, but it wasn't as easy as it is with the new staff. They have been great. So again, we got another example of players happy with that. The thing got, again, I don't want to poo-poo on it, but the thing is like, I feel like this is the honeymoon phase yet. It's new. Fans are excited. Players are excited. You just better hope it works when it comes to game time. Because if it doesn't work when it comes to game time and games and seasons and you're struggling, nobody's happy then. Because, heck, I remember when Joe Barry was first hired and you heard guys like Jair Alexander talking positively about him and Preston Smith. I remember Jair Alexander talking about how Joe Barry was demonstrating how to tackle and he was doing it in the air and all that. Like, guys were excited and liked it. Now it's like, oh, they didn't like it last. It's because they weren't playing well, right? So it's great to hear those comments, but if you're not playing well, that can instantly change on a dime, Brandon.
Right. I think it would be more eyebrow raising if at some level you weren't hearing these things. Like anytime there's anytime you have like a new coach or whatever coming in, it's always going to be, well, we really like what they're doing. You don't hear, well, we just hired this new defensive coordinator. And then when your defensive stalwart says, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Like you don't hear that. Like, and if you do, that's an immediate, the reddest of red flags. So no, but right now, everyone obviously, they're liking what they're seeing, but you're right. Like what matters is once it gets to this fall and, everyone starts hitting each other.
All right. Yep. Exactly. So, couple other notes. Lucas Van Ness. I appreciate the writers were having a little bit of fun with this on Twitter yesterday, but he has a broken finger. Matt LaFleur said it was just the tip, to which a lot of Packer beat writers had some fun with that, including our good friend Rob. Hashtag that's what she said sort of thing out there. So, oh, come on, people.
You gotta have fun at end of May practices.
What are your thoughts on this whole thing where they might change that? Where it's going to be a longer training camp?
I don't know. Like
I'm surprised the players want that, to be honest
right.
with you.
I am too. Like I mean, I think honestly, like you said, I'm just surprised the players want it.
Yeah. Like one of the first things that came to my mind was like, okay, they're going to be doing that for a while. Are they going to be more in-camp fights because they're just going to be so pent up that they want to go hit somebody?
Right. Eventually, you're just around people more. Like eventually, like when in that scenario, when you're around people more, like you're going to find something that irritates you about somebody. And yeah, in NFL, we've seen these training camp skirmishes. People aren't afraid to throw down with each other.
Yeah. So we'll see, I guess, at this point. But and they're talking about it for next year, and I was kind of surprised. And I know Pat said, players, it was kind of similar to the COVID era or COVID season, I should say, where it would be a similar thing. And he said players liked it on their bodies. And I get it to an extent that maybe they hit the ground running right away, that sort of thing. But I'm still a little surprised because we've been in such an era about more rest and recovery than going out there and stuff. But I guess we'll see what happens after that. So, all right. What else? Oh, I wanted to, before we get to Jake here in just a little bit, I want to get your thoughts on this. We talked about it yesterday. MLB now incorporating the Negro League statistics. Josh Gibson's name is going to be out there a lot more, and rightfully so, I think, in my opinion. Do you like that they're doing this? They're incorporating this?
I do. I mean, obviously it's unfortunate that this wasn't just all together in the first place, but that's obviously a story and a commentary for another day. But I mean, when you look at how many players from the Negro League ultimately, made their way to MLB and were very successful, like it's comparable. It's not like, you're seeing people say like it's pretty close to being like major leagues. Like I don't have a problem with it. Like I don't like. We kind of looked at so many of these great players from the Negro Leagues kind of with this, reverence anyway. Like, no, it doesn't bother me at all with it. Like, I think, I'd seen someone bring up the point too, that in some ways, like it's a very magnanimous thing to do, but at the same time, maybe it's also Major League Baseball, who, remember, at the time, there was a reason that, players from that league were not allowed to be in the majors. And maybe this is, like, I'm just almost kind of trying to, cover themselves up a little bit for it. But no, I in general, I just think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it's going to shine a light on players like Josh Gibson,
right?
And when you start to, because I'll be honest, like I knew of him, but now you're starting to hear a little bit more about like how really good of a player, and maybe it's my sports history passion, kind of coming through, but you start to hear some of those stories, and it's like, dang, that dude sounded like he was freaking good,
right.
Over there. Does that, and I know, intern mentioned this, but he's like, would this open up, more open doors for the steroid errors? But steroid players, their stats still count, though, right? I mean,
yeah, the stats
still
count. Like,
yeah,
no, it's just a matter, like, because no players hit more home runs than Barry Bonds, but it's just a matter of like, what do people? People are free to kind of then judge based off of that. Like, okay, so Barry Bonds has this many home runs, like, okay, like, do I consider him the home run king or whatever? And Hall of Fame voters are able to do the same thing. Do I consider that he should be in the Hall of Fame? That kind of thing. Like, the numbers are there, and people can kind of, choose their opinions accordingly because there's other things that go with it.
Yeah, definitely. So, because I think it's official as of yesterday, but they're doing a game in the middle of June. Is it the Cardinals? And
I think it's Alabama. Isn't it?
Yeah, for that, and I think that's kind of when they're honoring it, and
right.
It's like one of those. That's probably a bad example, but it's like it's a grand opening for something that's already open, sort of thing.
Right. But, it's right.
Yeah. So I'm good with it. I'm glad that they're, and I know I keep saying this too, but for all of you who kept books back then, thank you, because they're not incorporating those stats if nobody kept those stats back then.
Well, and honestly, kind of slightly off topic, but this is something that annoys me with another sport where, I'm glad, like you said, like the people that kept the stats and stuff like that, that's great because now we can combine it. But the one that annoys me where they can't do that for whatever reason is college football. Where I forget the year, but up to a certain point, they don't count stats from bowl games.
Right.
Yet they have the stats. They kept them. Like Ron Dane does not have his rushing stats from bowl games.
Where you were,
and that was at the end of the 90s. You're telling me they couldn't keep stats at the end of the 90s? Come on. Like, it just seems lazy to me. Like, I get it if, hey, we can't count, whoever stats from, the 1920s because we didn't have a reliable system for that. Okay, that's fine. But you're telling me in 1990 when you can just watch, old sports centers and see every single Ron Dane stat line when he was running for 250 yards, in the Copper Bowl against Utah.
Right.
But you can't add that?
Right.
Like, No, like
Tell us how you really feel, man.
But yeah, that's
Save it for Festivus.
But it annoys me. I don't know if it annoys me that much. Like enough for that. This is just obviously the perfect timing given the connection with with this news.
Yeah. Well, it's like the example I was using too was like now hindsight's 2020. I understand that. Why did it take to 1982 for the NFL to start keeping track of sacks?
Right.
Right.
We need even more proof to show us that Deacon Jones was an amazing player.
Mm-hmm. Right. They kept track of interceptions.
Right.
But not sacks.
But we can't.
So.
But even so, like you can't go back and.
Well, that's the thing though. Too is like there's no film. I know Pro Football Reference has been doing that. They've been trying to go back as far as they can, and like Willie Davis, you can look at what they've counted, but it's not officially recognized because if you go to the Packers website, they don't have any stats for Willie Davis. There's a bunch of zeros, with the sacks, but they've got it counted. They don't have the first 2 years when he was with Cleveland, but for Green Bay, he would be the franchise holder with their numbers at 99.5. But Clay Matthews is still recognized as the franchise leader. So, yeah. Moral of the story: stats. If you go to games, keep the book. You never know when it might come.
Right.
Might come useful there. So, John, really quick with a question here. Let me bring it back up here. So, with the NFL possibly changing the offseason next year, do you think that would make it easier for the NFL to add an 18th game?
Maybe that's the concession because we know that's coming. Like 18 games, 2 buys.
Yeah.
Like and that's like. On the one hand, I guess on the surface, like 18 is better than 17 just because it's a rounded number.
Mm-hmm.
But that's coming. So maybe the NFL looks at this as like a bargaining chip. Like, hey, we'll give you this, but you give us this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right. I think it's inevitable. And this is, maybe just something that the owners can use to say, hey, we're going to give you something. We're going to give you what you want, but give us what we want.
Right. Yeah. It's not going to be something as, and that's the thing is the CBA, if they want it for next year, they got to agree to it now.
Right.
Or coming up here, which will be the tricky thing is like, okay, we'll do this, but then when CBA is coming up, you got to agree to this and they got to hold them to it. So, I mean, that's fine line right there. I feel like the players will do 18 if they get that extra bye.
I think so. I think the players also know, hey, this is inevitable. Let's at least get something we want to go that route.
Yeah. And then, which will mean Super Bowl is on President's Day weekend, which a lot of people get Monday off. Not everybody.
But some people do.
Some people do. That doesn't matter to me anymore in this current profession.
Right. Yeah. Either way, you're hustling.
Yeah. Hustling and rising and grinding.
Unless it's Super Bowl Saturday night.
Why don't they just do that? I mean, come on.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday. Like,
I
mean, is it so much better on Sunday? No. Besides the fact that it's the tradition and there's Super Bowl Sunday, like.
But the thing is, they want games on now every day of the week. So does that really matter?
Right.
Traditional.
Why not Super Bowl Wednesday night?
No. I mean, Monday Night Football. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. But
national championships on Monday night.
Right. I would agree. I would have no problem with it being on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, because then I get to party all night and still have a next day because Green Bay's winning it next year. So
but they're not playing on Saturday next year. So,
but that's what I'm saying. Like I wish it was, so I could party, recover, and then still work on Monday and talk about it, and then party again because we're talking about them winning.
Would you want to do a super special Sunday morning show if that was the case?
No.
I think hungover Dan celebrating a Super Bowl, as much as I don't want to see it, I think it would be entertaining.
One of the more entertaining, weird, crazy kind of shows was when I was coming back from a playoff game. Was
it you and Neil?
Yes. It was, yeah. Shout out Neil Hebert. But it was the Seattle. It was Matt LaFleur's first year. It was a Sunday night, Sunday 5 o'clock, whatever kickoff time it was. Then there was a snowstorm. So I got back into town at like 2, 3 in the morning. Maybe a half hour. Neil was, I think, same time or such, and we were pretty much doing it with no sleep. And by the time it was like 8 o'clock, we're like hopped up on energy drinks and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, it was, you're sugared up, so you're powering through.
Yep, it was kind of nuts, but at least it was a win.
Oh my gosh, if it was a loss, you would just show up at like 6 o'clock, been like,
"Are we done yet?"
Canceled. No, you've been like, "Show's canceled."
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm glad, honestly. like when the Badgers lost that national championship game, we had a show, but that was only the half-hour version, I think, at that time, or an hour. That is still, I sounded depressed I was like, I didn't want to talk about it. Like, that's still the worst I've ever felt after a loss.
Same.
I'm a Packer guy, and that Badger one hit
Same.
me the hardest.
Yep.
And I think it was at that time, and I still kind of feel that way, it wasn't going to happen again.
Right. No, you knew that was the shot.
Mm-hmm. And I hate to say never say never,
No,
but
you never know. But still, like, that was the best opportunity.
it was just, you take down undefeated Kentucky in a rematch from the Final Four. Then you got Duke.
Yeah, you've got 2 first-round picks on your team, a lot of other really good complementary players.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that was just the fun team, right? I mean, they were having fun at pressers. They were gaming. I mean, everybody knew what a stenographer was after that. It was a fun team. It was a really fun team to have. So, but you believe that's almost 10 years ago now?
We are old.
We're very old. Very old. So, all right. Let's tell you what. Let's take a quick break here, and then we got a couple questions here for Jake. He's going to hop on the phone here and such. So we'll do that, regroup it, get back to a little outdoor talk, and then pick some predicts, Brandon, coming up next here. Will the Brewers win this series?
Maybe.
All right, we'll take that quick break, and outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes coming up after these quick words.
Union. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you. Fans, here's your quick trip to the ballpark ticket offer. Spend $200 at participating Quick Trip locations and get a free Terrace Reserve ticket to a 2024 Brewers home game. Check brewers.com/quicktrip for more details. Join UW Credit Union at uwcu.org. Insured by NCUA.
One Automotive presents the 17th annual Ride for a Reason rally to raise money for breast cancer awareness. Join us Saturday morning, June 1st, starting at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls for a day of fun with more ride and shorter stops. Riders welcome, but drive your car. It's for a good cause. All proceeds go to Marshfield Clinic's mobile mammography unit. The 17th annual One Automotive Ride for a Reason rally, brought to you in part by this radio station. Saturday, June 1st at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls. Sign up now at rideforareasonrally.com.
Temperatures are on the rise, and so is your motivation to do some floor remodeling in your home or office. But with the temperatures heating up, is it possible to make your home feel just a little bit cooler for these Wisconsin summers? Yes. Keep cool this summer with a new floor from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Check out Carpet City Flooring Center's lineup of luxury vinyl tile and laminate wood flooring. Not only would they make your space stand out and look amazing, they'll function the best to give your space a cooler feeling during the summer. Look cool, feel cool. Am I right? Now, maybe you need some help figuring out what would work the best in your home, look the best, and fit in your budget. This is where Carpet City Flooring Center beats the competition. They will work with you to check off all those boxes because they want to be a member of your team and help you accomplish your remodeling dreams. Plus, they travel all over the great state of Wisconsin. So what are you waiting for? Visit the fine people at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue and start your cool remodeling project.
Hey, sports fans, Joe DeGuano here. When I'm not talking sports with Dan in the morning, I'm more than likely sitting on a bar stool at Courtney House. Most of the time with my lovely wife, but sometimes with clients, friends, or just by myself. Even though I've been coming up to Eau Claire on a regular basis for the last 11 years, I just permanently moved up here last August. Everyone knows we like to go out, but we hadn't found that old school corner bar where the bartender knows what I want even before I do. We finally found it at Courtney House. Whether it be my vodka gimlets made with love or 12-ounce hams on tap in a frosted mug, they've got me covered. And our go-to food choices are the grilled cheese with ham, the wings with homemade sauces, the BOGO burgers, or the Friday night fish fry. Heck, I'm there so much I even told the new owners I should have profit-sharing options. So if you're looking for that bar where everyone truly does know your name, it's time to make a Courtney House appearance. Courtney House, downtown Eau Claire, Grand Avenue. Tell you what, if you see me there the next time you go out, let me know. Your first one's on me.
If you were to listen to Dan Kasper nonstop around the clock for a solid month, you'd become the king of all sports fans, desired by beautiful women, and rich beyond your dreams. I think. Try it and let's see. The Dan Kasper Show.
Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your Outdoor Tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask for you.
It is time for our Outdoor Tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Jake, how you doing on this fine morning?
I'm doing good. You want to hear a funny story quick?
Yeah, go for it.
When I just called in, the first thing I heard when the phone turned on was desire and beautiful women from your commercial there. So I had to double check my phone number to make sure I didn't call one of those dirty phone number lines.
Yeah,
that's at the end of your thing.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
It was pretty funny. It made me jump for a second.
Your wife would probably be asking you questions if she looked
at
your
right.
phone.
Well, the state might be with my state phone here.
That's true. Yeah, no doubt about it. Jake, it's a beautiful day here, and well, I mean, Memorial Day weekend. How did anything all go okay from your end with your job in that?
Yeah, very busy weekend. Especially Friday into Saturday. I think everyone saw the weather forecast and decided we're all going out Saturday. So Saturday was the busy day. The lakes were filled with people. Every campsite in the county forest was filled. The ATV, UTV trails were popping. So for the most part, pretty good compliance on registrations and equipment and safety. I mean, there's always some people that are going to end up getting tickets because of this or that. But overall, pretty good, pretty safe around here. There were a fair amount of ATV accidents, unfortunately, in Jackson County. But, everyone survived, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So this is a big weekend, though, too, right, Jake? I mean, coming up on Saturday and Sunday, free fishing. But also, is it for park passes, too? Those fees are waived for this weekend?
Yeah, it's basically they kind of joke around saying it's free DNR weekend. So depending on what you're interested in, just go to our DNR website and take a look at what you're going to recreate and see if there's any, deals or free admission, free licenses, free whatever. Just take a look at whatever you're going to do and double check, because there are some stuff you obviously still have to pay for. And, licenses may be free, registrations or entrance fees may be waived, but, you still have to follow regulations like fish size and bag limits. You got to, follow speed limits in the parks and parking restrictions and different stuff like that. So it's not like a free-for-all, but, you save a couple bucks this weekend.
And I was kind of looking at some stuff over the weekend or just a couple days ago too, Jake. Even if, maybe you're a first-time fisherman or fisher person, fisherwoman, whatever, and you want to try it, there's some loaner locations around here, right? Like some loaning equipment. I think there's one at Lake Wissota, also your station here in Eau Claire where people can loan out some equipment maybe to go try fishing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Across the state, locally, most state parks across the state have them. Like you said, Wissota, the DNR office here has fishing gear that you can loan or borrow, as well as, if you're a part of different programs, there's sometimes you can even borrow guns and different things for the hunting seasons if you're a new hunter or if you need some help with stuff. So there's a lot of things that DNR offers if you just reach out and ask.
So with the free fishing weekend here too, now parents, I mean, kids obviously under the age, is it still 16 that don't need a fishing license?
Yep.
Okay. And so parents can still go out and take their kids even without a fishing license too this weekend, right?
Yeah. So no fishing license needed for anybody this weekend. Anyone under 16 never needs one. A good distinction and something we like to make sure people understand is that if you got, whatever age, 4, 10 years old, whatever, 2, and you're trying to teach them to fish, you can help someone fish. You can help hold the rod with them if you don't have a fishing license. You can even cast it if you need to cast it to get it out there further for them so they have a chance at catching a fish. If they catch one or they get stuck, you can help them reel it in. As long as they are actively participating and helping and such, you don't need a fishing license to help someone fish if they're underage or whatnot. Now, if your 4-year-old grandson or son goes running off to the park or goes and starts playing with frogs on the shoreline and you decide to take their Scooby-Doo pole and cast and retrieve and fish yourself, then obviously now you're not helping them. Now you're fishing and you need a fishing license. So we saw it again this weekend, and we see it from people that they think just because they're using a kid's fishing pole that they don't need a license. But it doesn't matter what you're fishing with. If the kid's not there, you can't fish without a license.
Gotcha. All right.
Except for this weekend.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to be around here too, but we had Ed the diver on a little bit earlier. He's actually heading over to Lake Wissota and is going to do some cleanup with the water over there too, and also over at Party Island up the shore.
Oh, sure.
Over there. So yeah, he's going to be doing some cleaning up and scuba diving to see what he finds under the water over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be interesting.
I know, right? I mean, a lot of fishing lures definitely finding out there
Oh,
too.
I'm sure fishing lures, sunglasses, maybe some phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to, I know we're wrapping up the month of May here, Jake, and we're getting into June here. Is there anything with like hunting wise or trapping or anything like that in the month of June that people should be aware of? Or is it pretty much just, straight up fishing and trail riding at this point?
We're past most of like the application for the fall. Too early for some of the fall stuff to start or for next year stuff. Anytime you buy like a patron's license or at any point you can buy like your 2025 spring turkey application for $3 or put in your bear points and stuff like that. You can do that any time of the year, but we're kind of in that full summer mode right now. Boating, fishing, ATVs, UTVs, state parks. That's kind of where our mindsets are right now, kind of what we're patrolling for, what we're seeing, questions we're getting. So, it's kind of that maybe month or two of the year where we're not super indicted with deer stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Otherwise, deer is kind of king. Hunting's kind of king.
Yeah. One last question here for you, Jake. When it comes to like, if you have a kayak, let's say, can you put it in the water anywhere as long as it's not private land? So like if it's a public, can you put it in the water from the shore, from anywhere? Do you always have to go through a boat landing, even though it's like a kayak or a canoe? Is there any rules of where you can put those in at?
No, as long as you can if you can access it legally, via foot, if it's private land with permission, public land, like a park, like there's plenty of spots around like Caploon Lake that's public. If you can walk there, you can walk with your kayak there and just dump it in. There's no special rules on having to put a boat or a canoe in at a boat launch or anything like that. Again, it's just making sure you have legal access to be walking there or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you don't have to do a boat launch.
Gotcha. All right, Jake.
Yeah. No,
appreciate it as always, buddy. Appreciate it always.
Yeah.
Bud, so.
No, the only thing I'd like to mention at the end here is just like with us talking about it being full summer mode, life jackets,
Yes.
ATV helmets, like the safety stuff. You know, we don't have we always have some sort of campaign going, you know, wear this or do that. But, you know, this time of year, especially with all like the ATV accidents last year, the drownings we're seeing, you know, a lot of wardens officially, unofficially are looking at safety equipment and not using discretion as much when it comes to life jackets, wearing ATV helmets under the age of 18, stuff like that, just because, you know, safety is huge. You know, it's paramount. We want everyone to come home at the end of the day, and if wearing your helmet or wearing your life jacket is what's going to save your life, you know, we're going to make sure everyone has them. So I really encourage everyone to make sure they got their PFDs or their life jackets before going out on the boat. And then, as a reminder, kayaks, canoe, and paddle boards, like, you have to have one wearable life jacket per person. So, you know, some of the smaller lakes in town, like Half Moon Lake and Altoona and different things, we see a lot of paddle boarders out in the middle with no life jackets. And if you fall off and have a cramp or something like that, you know, you could potentially drown, and we definitely don't want to see that. So just remember to wear that safety equipment this summer.
Good tips there, man. Dude, appreciate it as always. Have a good weekend, man, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There you go. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden, State of Wisconsin, for our Outdoor Tidbits. Final break. Picks and predicts time with Mr. Berg. Coming up after these quick words. What a morning it's been. We've had like almost everybody with joining us here. It's been a nice tailgate party here. Hey, speaking of tailgates, we're going to be tailgating at the Express game tomorrow with the Mobile Man Cave. And I know, Brandon, you're going to be out of town, so tell you what, before you leave today, after we get done recording the pod.
Executive tour?
Yep. Because I got to add one more thing. I got to add a Man Cave light picture to it. And it's right there.
Yeah, don't have one in there.
No. And I thought it'd be kind of weird if it was an empty can. I don't know if that's...
It's not... No.
I want to keep it classy.
No, the juice is not worth the squeeze.
God,
there.
you got to stop. That's the second time now you're doing that.
Said that once off the air like 2 minutes ago.
Now you're going to say it again probably in the next 14 minutes.
Well, now I am.
Oh, dang it. Now I'm going to be looking to use that quote throughout the day now because of you. So, no, I'll give you the extended tour. However long that might take for that. So, Ed, the diver actually took a selfie in front of it too and posted it up on Facebook.
Nice.
I didn't even ask him, but yeah, it's right there. So
yeah, he posted about his visit here.
He did.
Great.
Yep. So again, if you missed that convo, we'll put it up on podcast later on this morning, where Brandon and I will also be revealing our top 5 occasion/situational beer.
Beers. Yeah.
It's not like Mike the Situation.
No.
Not like
No.
that. So got a couple of you that picked some. So before we get to our picks and predicts, I'll go through some of them, see if they maybe inspire you to come up with a couple of your other ones. Surveyor Sam, first beer with old friends, vacation beer, after work beer, especially physical labor. The home project is complete beer, and golf beers was one of them on there. A couple other ones. Everyday beer, brothers beer, beers with friends, express baseball beers, golf beers. A lot of golf ones on there. And as Steve said, first beer, second beer, third beer, fourth beer, last beer. So there you have it. So we'll get to ours coming up. It'll be in the podcast. That'll be up later this morning. Time for some picks and predicts, brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place, where they also have beers. If you want to go maybe grab some Man Cave Lights there too. When you do the elbow thing, it's like your chicken wing over there. But let's do Timberwolves Mavericks.
I'm gonna say Mavericks close it out.
I think the popular pick for a lot of people is Timberwolves tonight, but I think the Mavericks get it done. I think I don't want to say everybody, feels like a lot of people are picking Timberwolves to win. So I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go the opposite direction. Mavericks get it done tonight and move on. So. Are you excited about that series, though? I mean, it's going to be the Kyrie series. That's what the narrative is going to be. Kyrie returning to Boston.
Mavericks, Boston. Like, obviously, I could get behind that.
I feel Boston's going to win. I feel, especially if Porzingis is back. Why don't we talk about the Porzingis series? Porzingis was in Dallas, right? Why is it got to be all about Kyrie again?
Good question.
Is it juice worth the squeeze? No, that doesn't work there either.
No, it's not.
Should we do a little Stanley Cup playoff picks here? Another series that's tied at 2 apiece. This is actually the conference finals that have been more entertaining.
Right.
That has been the NHL. Florida Rangers. Who you got? Panthers Rangers. Who you got?
Rangers.
Is it in New York? Let me bring it over. It is in New York. So yeah, I'll go Rangers.
Chippendale, New York Rangers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. They were 30-11 at home this year, so I'll go New York. Let's do some baseball. We'll save Brewers Cubs for the last one here. So let's go with we'll throw them in there. Let's do the Twins in Kansas City. That's also a day game at 12:10, same time as Brewers.
Kansas City
Cubs. Chris Paddock, Brady Singer. I'll go Kansas City too. One of the nice surprises this year, right?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go then with Houston at Seattle.
I'm going to go with Seattle.
I'm going to go Seattle too. Let's do kind of it then. So let's do Chicago at Milwaukee. Colin Ray getting a start for the Crew.
Colin Ray and Jamison Tyone.
Yep.
I'm going to get greedy, Brewers one. At this point, you've got this. You've got a split secured. When you're in front, that's what you need to do. But I don't know. I'm going to get greedy and say that they win this one.
I say they lose. Jameson, I mean, 3-2 is a 2.58 ERA. Part of it, though, too, I said Brewers were going to lose last night, and they won. So
you're trying to
reverse psychology.
Reverse psychology.
Yep. Don't. Yeah. He's coming. Yeah. Just they win this series, though. What a big morale boost for this team.
Yes.
And then you got the White Sox, which is a very winnable series. Hate to say that, but it is.
It's kind of interesting that it's just a week of Chicago games. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. And then, not to get too far ahead, but that Philly series now next week is shaping up to be a really good one.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
On the road, which it is what it is. But
which I don't know if Rhys Hoskins will be back by then. But hopefully, I mean, because obviously Philly fans are going to want to, greet him.
They'll give him his flowers.
Yeah, hopefully there's a way that he can be acknowledged during that series if he's not back.
Right. Yep, I would agree, because that's going to be because they loved him over there, right?
Yeah, he was a very popular player, so I think they would want to, give his flowers, his kudos, his praise, whatever. And hopefully there's a way they can do that.
Yeah, I agree. Good point. I didn't even think of that. So, all right, that's it for picks and predicts here for this morning. So, you're going to be at some softball tonight. The Chi High one, is it?
Chippewa Falls, New Richmond, in Baldwin.
In Baldwin, so not that far.
No, it's
not that far.
Initially, and this was before it could have been changed. It was in Stevens Point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's half as far, which on the day where I know I'm going to be getting up early tomorrow to go down to La Crosse, I don't mind that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding. So, and then we'll find out. Maybe your schedule might have to change a little bit next week, depending on softball.
It could be.
So,
I mean,
no intern at all next week. So
where's he at? Vacation?
He's going to do his best Kevin Costner Yellowstone impression. He's going to Montana for branding. I'm not. Yeah, that's where he's doing.
I believe you.
Yeah, and I'm jealous because I just watched my Yellowstone marathon this past weekend and started looking at buying cowboy hats because that's what that show does to me.
Hat?
That's that. Oh, I'm sure he does. I mean, he's got his own horses, so for crying out loud.
He wears that cowboy hat. He'll be 7 feet tall.
I know. So we're wide open next week for you, B. Wide open.
I'll know after today, I think.
I'm riding solo tomorrow. It's kind of sad. Kind of sad that you're abandoning me, but that's okay. You're in spirit. Your spirit is with us.
I'll be listening.
Okay. All right.
I'm like Al from Angels in the Outfield. I'm always watching.
That's another podcast episode we got to do. Because I feel like there's a lot of baseball movies from that era that doesn't get enough cred, that we don't talk enough about.
Because obviously, the era at the top for baseball movies is Field of Dream. I mean, there's just
Major League.
Yeah, there's just there's so many great ones that there's a bunch of good ones you kind of forget about.
We were Tuesday night Little League game, and it was at the end, and we were in a dugout, and I was trying to get the bats to the kids, and I dropped the line, "Bats need hats." And one of the other coaches is like, "Oh, that's going to be in my head all night." No, he's like, he wants to watch Major League now. It's the most quotable sports movie I think that's out there. Is just some of the lines we can't say, but I mean,
say a lot you can say on air, some you can't.
I'm sure you guys will like it too, but I mean, anybody who played like slow pitch softball, how many times did you quote that movie while playing the game? Right? I mean or in the dugout.
Many, many, many times.
There's so many. Just a bit outside, too high. What do you mean too high?
It's called the winning streak. It has happened before.
Win the whole thing over there. So
is the juice worth the squeeze?
Stop it. It's not from that. But Angels in the Outfield, Rookie of the Year, like these, you don't see these movies on anymore. Angels in the Outfield, Rookie of the Year, Little Big League.
Little Big League, yeah.
What are some other ones out there? I feel like we're missing some. I'm sure there is, but some of those classics. Sandlot's not even on TV anymore. That's getting to be a lost art.
Well, now I think you're in the spot where a lot of movies aren't because they're just tethered to whatever streaming service they're owned by. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be like, if you want to watch the movie, go pay for whatever service versus it's on this channel or that channel.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize when it came to Field of Dreams, because Kevin Costner's doing this media tour for his new movie coming out, and I saw this clip interview. Robin Williams was up for that spot in Field of Dreams.
Interesting.
And I'm trying to envision that. And I'm paraphrasing it. It's not the exact quote, but essentially the line that Kevin Costner said, I think it was the director or somebody told him, is like, the quote of, where if you build it, he will come, of hearing voices in the cornfield. People would actually think that Robin Williams was hearing voices in the cornfield, whereas Kevin Costner wouldn't, and be more surprised about it, that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's so goofy and all that. But can you imagine Robin Williams in Field of Dreams?
He could have done it because the movie 1 Hour Photo notwithstanding, Robin Williams is a very well-rounded. He's just kind of pigeonholed into. He's got to be the funny, goofy guy. But he's a heck of an actor.
It's one of my favorite of all time.
Right. Like he could have done it. It just would have been different. Like, I don't like I say it would have been better, like I say it would have been worse. But obviously we're just so ingrained with, well, this is what Costner did with it. It was great, but it just would have been different.
It's so weird at times when you find these stories out, like who was up for these, and you're like, oh, I can't imagine that.
Well, like thinking about like Chris Farley voicing Shrek.
Shrek, yeah. Yeah.
Which obviously, unfortunately, that's been different circumstances. But,
right. But still, it's like completely. I like it. Now it's like I can't imagine Michael Myers not doing that.
Right.
And there's just like so many other ones out there too. It's like I can't imagine. A little bit of the opposite, but it's like the Heath Ledger. Nobody wanted that as Joker. Now it's like nobody else can do it.
Right.
Nobody else can do it. It can't be what's his face from 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, yeah.
Even Joaquin Phoenix is a different one out there, but it's like nobody else can do it now. You know. But yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, wow, okay, interesting. Robin Williams, Field of Dreams. That would have been something. But you're right, because you think about it. He's got an Oscar for Good Will Hunting, serious role. Was it Dead Poet Society? Is that the other movie? Or the serious one where he's the teacher and all that?
It could be, yeah.
Something over there. So,
but I mean, I always think of 1 Hour Photo because it's like a horror movie.
I've never seen that.
I don't think it's very well received, but I believe it's a horror movie where he was like the bad guy.
Interesting. Oh, now I think I could picture a picture from there. Okay. Yeah. When was the last great sports movie to come out, though?
By the way, 1 Hour Photo, it wasn't very well received. 2001.
Okay.
2002, sorry.
2002. Seriously, like when's the last great sports movie to come out? Is there an opening here for us to make a great sports movie? There's been documentaries, but I'm not.
Yeah, but we're talking about like fiction.
Yeah, or a big picture production film that may be loosely based on a true story.
I mean, you're more familiar with the more modern Rocky movies than I am.
Oh, that might be it.
Like Creed or something like that.
That might be it, actually.
It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of them.
No. And, I mean, there's, like, the Disney ones, kind of. But I'm talking, like, great movies. Great.
Not like we think they're great, like, actually great?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. I'll have to think about that. All right. We got about a minute left here. So, coming up, we're going to record this podcast. So we'll have Ed's interview on there and Silent J. You don't know how many times I caught for not saying Silent Bob. Jay and Silent Bob.
I thought about it too. Maybe that's why I just decided not to say anything.
I really it took a lot for me to just like my inner self to not say that. So, but Ed the Divers interview and Silent J will be up on the pod. Brandon and I are going to record our version up here. We'll also have some Brewers chat on there too. So, best of luck to all the baseball and softball teams in action tonight. Got a lot of good ones out there. Chi-High softball, Eau Claire Memorial and North doing battle at Carson Park. It's a good day to play, too, because the Express are playing after that at Carson Park.
There we go. Make a day of it.
Yep. Have a good day, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Brandon will not be, unfortunately.